Chapter 2208. Upon hearing what Tang Chuan said, the two women immediately looked at Su Yu. Lord Su. The young model seemed to want to move closer to Su Yu. Su Yu immediately waved his hand. No, I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. You two can go play somewhere else. Su Yu took out a stack of money from his wallet. It was at least tens of thousands. It was not that Su Yu liked to burn money, but it was the rule here. After all, these women were brought here by rich people. They took the initiative to come to him for nothing more than money. Many young models looked like models on the surface, but in fact they had never shot a single advertisement. Most of them were just outside accompanying people to eat, drink, and sleep. This kind of company was even more desperate than a hostess. So since they said so, they could not go back empty-handed. Su Yu sent the two women away with money. Although the two women were a little disappointed, they still smiled when they saw the money. Thank you, Lord Su. After taking the money and leaving, it was a lot quieter. The three of them drank for a while. Seeing that it was almost 12, Tang Chuan took the initiative to ask, I'm a little hungry. I want to eat porridge. Do you want to go? I'm not going. You guys go. The child doesn't sleep at home. We can't go back too late. Child? Don't joke. When did you have a child? Tang Chuan looked at Shin Mingxi with a smile. It's Yanyan's child. Shin Mingxi explained. Su Yu and Tang Chuan were stunned. Then they looked at each other. It seemed that they were a little surprised. If that's the case, I won't force you. Okay, let's meet again another day. Shin Mingxi nodded. He got up and went out with his arm around Hui Yanyan's shoulder. When he walked out, he carefully opened the door for her. He was very considerate and gentle. I think young Master Shin's personality is a little different from before. Su Yu said to himself. I think he's under Hui Yanyan's spell. That's why he's so loyal to her. I didn't know that Hui Yanyan was such a goddess. She made young Master Shin divorce Wei Ying for her and treat her daughter as his own. That's not hard. Maybe I really do have feelings for her. I really do love Hui Min's daughter. Su Yu seemed to understand his feelings a little. It's not the same. You've liked Hui Min for many years and it's ingrained in your heart. But between the two of them, anyway, it feels weird. Luckily, old Wei didn't come. If he did, it would be even more awkward. After Su Yu and Tang Chuan finished talking, they left and drove straight to a high-end congee shop. Both of them had a lot to drink, so they ordered 2 servings of congee and some light pickles. In fact, Tang Chuan also wanted to talk to Su Yu. Tang Chuan kept looking at his phone as if something was bothering him. Are you waiting for Qin Ning's WeChat? Su Yu guessed. She won't send it to me. I know. Tang Chuan smiled bitterly. That day he left Qin Ning's house and went to Spain. Since then they had lost contact. Along the way he posted about what he ate and drank in Spain, and Qin Ning liked all of them. But she never said anything and he seemed to be competing with her. Neither of them spoke first, so in the blink of an eye, they hadn't talked for a long time. Other than occasionally liking each other's posts, they didn't talk much. Tang Chuan was used to it. He picked up his phone and looked at it, thinking that Qin Ning might send him a message. But his phone was as quiet as ever. Qin Ning didn't even post anything on her WeChat. Why does it sound like there's something going on between you two? You stayed in the US for more than 20 days. Did you really not get anything? Is she still determined not to accept you? Su Yu asked as he ate his congee. Chapter 2209. I do have a story, but it's not a lot. It's nothing more than me being her bodyguard, nanny, and assistant for over 20 days. Haha. Tang Chuan laughed heartily. Although he spoke casually, Su Yu knew that he wasn't as open-minded as he appeared to be. Tang Chuan was someone who couldn't hide his thoughts. As soon as Su Yu asked, he revealed everything, including Qin Ning's father's intentions. Su Yu thought for a while and asked, So you're here because you don't want to marry into the Qin family and be a live-in son-in-law, right? That's not the point. After all these years, don't you know me? Why would I care about my reputation? So what if I'm a live-in son-in-law? As long as Ning Ning is willing, she can do whatever she wants. Then I'm confused. If that's the case, why did you come back? Isn't it a good thing that her father agreed to your engagement? Su Yu was also confused by Tang Chuan. Sounded like a good thing, so why did it turn into a tragedy? Actually, what I care about the most is Ning Ning's attitude towards me. I think she's not sure about her feelings towards me. Maybe it's because she's touched, or maybe it's because she's used to it. Either way, it's definitely not because she loves me. I'm a hypocritical person and I feel disgusted. I'm already past the age of dreaming, but I still hope that one day I can be with someone. It's because of love, not because we're of equal social status, not because we're suitable for each other. This was the first time Tang Chuan had said something so emotional. Suyu wasn't used to it. Young Master Tang, you should know when to stop. After all, not everyone likes each other. Do you think you and Qin Ning are Qin Chu and Huamin? Plus, in this world only a few people can be with someone they like and like them. Most people's feelings for each other don't end well. So you should be content with what you have, Suyu advised. I understand what you're saying, but I'm still... Forget it. Let's not talk about it. It's useless to talk about it. Now that we're back, who knows what will happen in the future? Tang Chuan seemed to be at a loss. Why don't you get together with Wei Ying? Now that she's divorced, she's causing trouble at home. He's quite pitiful. But she's suitable for you. She's feisty and her social status matches yours. Most importantly, you'll become old Wei's brother-in-law if you get together with her. Suyu joked as he drank his porridge. Tang Chuan looked at him with disdain. Lord Su, don't play with me like this. You're still single and you're old Wei's brother. Why don't you marry Wei Ying? She's not my type, Suyu quibbled. Then it's definitely not my cup of tea, Tang Chuan said affirmatively. The two brothers chatted until late into the night. Finally, Suyu was too sleepy and they went home separately. Tang Chuan returned to his spacious mansion. He was still sleepy a moment ago, but as soon as he entered the door he immediately woke up. It was late at night in China, but it should still be daytime in Los Angeles. He didn't know what Qin Ning was doing. Qin Ning was always busy at GK headquarters during the day, especially when her father wasn't in the company. She would attend morning meetings on behalf of the president every day and solve a series of problems. At that time, no one would look down on her as a young woman. Instead, she was a vigorous and resolute president. When she got home, Qin Ning would change out of her business attire and put on her home clothes. She was as warm and easygoing as the girl next door. During lunch break, Qin Ning's secretary brought in a cup of coffee and a burger. Miss Qin, here's your lunch. Chapter 22:10. Thank you. Qin Ning didn't even raise her head as she continued reading. After the secretary left, she raised her head and glanced at the burger and coffee. He suddenly missed that person. When Tang Chuan was around, he didn't allow her to have simple lunch. In Tang Chuan's words, if you feed a dog hamburgers every day, even a dog would go crazy, let alone a human. No matter how good Europe and America were, the food they ate was pitiful. Other than steak, pizza, pasta and hamburgers, there wasn't much to choose from. But Chinese food was different. Just the 8 major cuisines were enough to stun foreigners. When Tang Chuan was at the company, he would often use the company's frying pan to cook egg fried rice for Qin Ning, or he would use the company's frying pan to make simple soup noodles for her. Although it was simple, it was very nutritious and Qin Ning loved it. Now that Tang Chuan was gone, Qin Ning began her endless burger life. In an instant she felt a sense of loss. Habits were scary things. Once you got used to it, you would feel extremely wronged when you lost it. Qin Ning picked up her phone and glanced at it. It should be late at night in China. He wondered what Tang Chuan was doing. She posted on her WeChat. Habits were scary things because losing something was more painful than not having it. 2 seconds after she posted it, she regretted it and immediately deleted it. Tang Chuan was lying on the bed playing with his phone and scrolling through his WeChat. When he saw Qin Ning's post, it was gone. Huh, that's weird. I thought I saw her post something. Tang Chuan was speechless. Qin Ning was stubborn, but sometimes Tang Chuan was even more stubborn than her. Just like that, the two often missed each other, but neither of them was willing to take the initiative to speak. Missing each other became a habit. Silently praising each other also became a habit. After Jian Tong's death, Huamin fell seriously ill. No one knew if it was because of the shock, or the cold on the roof for too long. In short, he kept coughing and no amount of medicine or injections helped. Even Qin Chu, who was trained in Western medicine, took Huamin to visit famous Chinese medicine doctors and famous professors in the area. He prescribed a lot of Chinese medicine to boil and drink, but it still didn't work. In the words of Western medicine, there was inflammation in the lungs that had not been cleaned up. In the words of traditional Chinese medicine, it was the internal heat of the lung fire. Therefore, it was necessary to clear the lung and remove the heat. Huamin didn't go to work at Southside either. Occasionally, if there was an emergency, he would drive there for a meeting and then go home immediately after solving it. After President Wu heard about the situation, he immediately gave Huamin a holiday until the 7th day of the first lunar month. Tell her to come back after the new year. Seeing that the spring festival was approaching, the streets began to have a festive atmosphere. Red couplets, lanterns and firecrackers began to become the favorite decorations of the street vendors. While working, Qin was worried about Huamin, so he often drove home to take her out for a walk. On this day, the twins were brought over by Su Yu to the Su family for dinner. Jixin drove his mother to visit an old friend for dinner. It was rare for the couple to be free, so Qin said that he wanted to take his wife shopping. Although Huamin wasn't in the mood, he didn't want to spoil his mood. The two walked hand in hand to the busiest shopping mall in Central. Perhaps because it was the new year, there were a lot more people than usual. Chanel flagship store, Huamin sat on the sofa, and Qin carefully picked out a pair of shoes for her to put on. The female shop assistants next to them were extremely envious. "Madam, your husband is so good to you. You must have just gotten married, right?" the store manager asked curiously. Chapter 22:11. Huamin looked up at her and gave her a friendly smile. "No, the truth is we've been married for more than 4 years and the babies are already 3 years old." "Wow, you've been married for 4 years but you guys are still so loving like a newlywed couple. I'm so jealous." Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. She never liked to show off, so even if she had many things that others were jealous of, she wouldn't deliberately show them off. "Honey, this pair is not bad either. Stand up and walk around, is it comfortable?" After putting on the shoes, Qin carefully helped Huamin up. It's okay. Which pair do you like?" Qin looked up gently. "I don't know, they're all not bad, you can choose for me." Huamin was rarely so willful. "Then I'll take them all." Qin got up and was about to swipe his black card. How about 3 pairs? Huamin kindly reminded him. "I know." Mr. Qin was extremely proud, and then he turned around and said to the store manager, "I want everything that my wife tried on, from shoes to clothes." "Okay, sir, please wait a moment, we'll pack them up right away." The store manager was surprised and happy. "Honey, you're buying so much we won't be able to wear them all." Huamin pouted. She didn't like to burn money and you could call her petty or stingy, but she didn't like to waste money. "If you can't wear them all, you can hang them in your closet," Mr. Qin insisted. These words really made all the female shop assistants jealous. What kind of husband was this? If he couldn't wear them all, he would hang them in the closet. Wow, this man was the best husband in China. Not to mention, Qin was a successful young man with a lot of money. A sweet-looking female employee seemed to recognize Qin, so she walked over and shyly asked, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Qin, the president of GK?" Qin nodded slightly. "President Qin, is that really you? I really admire you. Last weekend, the finance channel even broadcasted your exclusive interview. You really are a talented and capable entrepreneur." The girl looked at Qin with her eyes shining. "Thank you." In the face of such praise, Qin reply was very official. "Then, can you give me an autograph?" The girl was a little excited and a little shy. Well, Qin refused directly. This made the girl's face very gloomy. She seemed to have not expected to be rejected. Huamin coughed awkwardly. "Huamin, don't be like that. Just sign it for me. I'm not a celebrity. I won't do such boring things." Qin directly denied. "Then, President Qin, can we take a picture together? I really admire you." The girl seemed unwilling to give up. She held her phone and moved closer to Qin. After Qin quickly swiped his card and signed his autograph, he walked towards Huamin without looking back. Then he mercilessly refused. "I never take pictures with women other than my wife." Ahem. Huamin coughed again. Her husband's Sundra side was really, "Have my stuff delivered to my address." "Thank you." "Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Qin. Take care." Qin held Huamin's hand as they left the store. The girl behind them stomped her foot angrily. "What? Qin has such bad taste. His wife isn't pretty at all. She's too average, not even 1/10 as pretty as me. What do you guys think?" The girl thought that she was pretty and superior. Therefore, when she saw Huamin, she was secretly happy that she wasn't that outstanding. Chapter 22:12. The girl originally thought she was pretty, so she wanted to get close to Chin Chu. She didn't expect things to turn out this way. After being rejected, she didn't want to give up, so she vented her anger on Huamin, blaming Huamin for not being pretty enough. It was as if saying this would make her feel better. The female store manager looked at her and sighed. You're still young, so you're too shallow. It's useless for a woman to be just pretty. The most important thing is that she's cultured, elegant, knowledgeable, and charismatic. That's why she's able to attract such an outstanding man. If it's just about being pretty, that's easy. Look at the streets and alleys. There are so many mistresses who are pretty, but why can't they enter the family? Look at a certain sports champion. She's not even pretty, so how did she manage to marry into a wealthy family? Look at those wealthy families. How many of them look at their wives' looks? How many female celebrities end up happy after marrying into a wealthy family? The store manager's words made the girl blush, but she couldn't refute. Although Mrs. Chin isn't very pretty, she has a unique aura that I like. She's not unreasonable and she's well educated. Even I, a stranger, liked her. So don't judge a book by its cover. Beauty won't last long and beauty will eventually fade. But if she can make a man love her for the rest of his life, then she's the biggest winner in life. Perhaps it was because the store manager was old, experienced a lot, and had seen a lot, that's why she said something like this. After they left the store, Huamin leaned into Chin Chu's arms like a little bird. You didn't give her face just now. Honey, she worships you. I don't need her to worship me. Okay, Honey, you're still cold and arrogant just like when we were in school. But I like it. Huamin giggled in Chin Chu's arms. Chin Chu didn't want her to feel cold, so he pulled up the scarf around her neck. Don't play around. Walk properly or you'll cough badly if you catch a cold. Chin Chu said patiently. Honey, I want to eat pizza. When they passed by Pizza Hut, Huamin suddenly felt like eating a simple meal. In fact, Chin Chu usually didn't advise her to eat these. After all, they were all fried and weren't that healthy. However, since his wife wanted to eat, he had to fulfill her wish. Originally, he had brought her out to relax. Let's go and eat now. Chin Chu walked in with his arm around Huamin's waist and ordered some food. Chin Chu received a phone call and walked to the corridor to deal with some work. Huamin happily sat by the window eating French fries. She didn't even notice when Immerse came in and sat down across from her. You seem to be in a good mood. Immerse looked at Huamin with a strange smile on her face. Huamin looked up. When she saw Immerse, her bright smile disappeared. I didn't think that you would take care of Jian so quickly and in such a tragic way. Huamin, you're getting better and better and your methods are getting more and more vicious. Immerse laughed exaggeratedly. What do you mean by that? Huamin stared at Immerse with a dark expression. You're so smart, don't you know? Don't play dumb. You know what I mean. Immerse smiled mysteriously. Jian death was her own doing. I'm not going to take the blame for it. Miss Imo, you're an interesting person. No matter what happens to me, you blame it on me. Are you the Virgin Mary? Huamian said sarcastically. Chapter 22:13. You sure have a sharp tongue. You're just relying on the fact that you have a man to back you up. Who do you think you are? Immerse's words were extremely vicious. It seemed like she had always held a grudge against Huamin. I'm fine even without a man to back me up. Don't confuse me with you. I'm not the kind of woman who can't live without a man. You, on the other hand, think about yourself. Huasichin hasn't done anything lately, right? Immerse's expression changed slightly. Are you even more scared now? Immerse didn't say anything, but her eyes were filled with fear. Don't laugh at Jian, you might not end up any better than Jian. Ever since you laid your hands on Huasichin, there was no turning back. You're inching closer and closer to death. If I were you, I'd pack up and run as far away as I can, instead of hiding like a coward under Grandpa Xiang's protection. After all, if Huasichin wants to kill you, even God wouldn't be able to save you. You make it sound like you know Huasichin very well. Immerse sneered. Of course I know him better than you do, I've known him for so many years. Huamin's expression was indifferent. But have you ever slept in the same bed as him? I've just shared a bed with him, so you don't know him as well as I do. Immerse, you're disgusting. Huamin rarely attacked a person directly, especially a woman. However, at this moment, Immerse's words made Huamin's heart burn with anger. You make it sound like you're a noble person, but we're in the same boat. I'm disgusted by you as well. I came here today to see how many tricks you have up your sleeve. Anyone who goes against you doesn't have a good ending. You're the real vixen. You don't have a face that makes people fall in love with you at first sight, but you have a heart that can bewitch men. Hwamion, you're really something. I have met so many women in my life, but you're the only one I admire. You're the kind of bitch who pretends to be a saint. At least it's better than being a shameless whore. Hwamin was furious, so he cursed. Then I wish you the best. But you'll get what you deserve, Emoshwe whispered into her ear. If I get what I deserve, it'll be because I wasn't decisive enough. Good and evil will always be rewarded. I believe that God has eyes, and I'm willing to bear witness to your end. I hope you can die a comfortable death. But you're on your own now that you've pissed off that devil Hwasichen. Hwamin warned. Emoshwe stood up angrily, turned around and left. She bumped into Chinchu, who had just called back. Chinchu, your wife is great. But you have to keep an eye on her. Don't let Hwasichen kidnap her one day. Emoshwe cursed viciously. Don't worry, you should think about how to live a few more days. After all, it's going to be Chinese New Year soon. Chinchu's tongue was as sharp as ever. Emoshwe was so angry that her face turned green and white. After Emoshwe left, Chinchu sat down across from Hwamin. What's that woman doing here? What else could she be doing? She's just mocking me. She said that I was the one who did it to Jian Tong. Hwamin lowered his head, calmly eating French fries as he answered. Don't worry about someone like that, Chinchu comforted him. Of course, if I listened to everyone, then I wouldn't be able to live anymore. After all, I'm not pretty, but Mr. Chin still likes me. Back in school, I was under a lot of pressure. Hwamin laughed. She didn't know when, but there was ketchup on the corner of her mouth. Chinchu took out a tissue, gently raised his hand and wiped her mouth. So, Mrs. Chin, thank you for taking the pressure and choosing to be with me back then. Chapter 22:14. You're welcome. Hwamin chuckled. Late at night, Hwasichen sat in his study, looking at a photo of Hwamin when he was young. He didn't even know where he got his hands on a photo of Hwamin when he was young. He was about 4 or 5 years old, wearing a floral dress with 2 braids. Hwamin still had baby fat back then. However, his facial features were still delicate. When he looked at the camera, there was a calm smile on his face. Hwamin's signature smile was Hwasichen's favorite. He touched the photo lovingly and touched the corner of Hwamin's mouth. He can smile so calmly at such a young age. His voice was filled with endless love. Boss. His subordinate knocked on the door. Come in. Boss, we found out that Emoshwe sent people to follow Miss Yan's car. We suspect that she might want to make a move on Miss Yan. Isn't that great? After she makes a move, we can record the evidence and give it to Mayor Yan directly. Hwasichen's face was calm. But we found out that those men are plotting against Miss Yan. They might want to rape Miss Yan. If we wait until they're done and we record the evidence, then there's no turning back. Do you really want to do this? Hwasichen's subordinates had seen Yen Ruashi's love for their boss over the years. Although Hwasichen didn't like her, she still came over often to buy fruits and vegetables. She even went to the supermarket to buy some daily necessities for Hwasichen. In the past few years, Hwasichen's constant women were none other than Song Isher, Yen Ruashi, and Emoshwe. To his subordinates, Yen Ruashi was the best because she didn't have a bad temper and was easy to get along with. Therefore, they were also worried about the current situation. Isn't that the best? Only then will Mayor Yen want to chop that bitch up and save us the trouble. Hwasichen said slowly. Boss, Miss Yen is very pitiful. If something happens to her, get lost. I know what I'm doing. I don't need you to teach me what to do. Hwasichen was annoyed. Yes, boss. The subordinate was so scared that he immediately left the room and closed the door. The grudge between Emoshwe and Yen Ruashi wasn't new. Yen Ruashi scolded Emoshwe for framing Hwasichen in a car accident. She even hired a lot of paid posters to spread posts about Emoshwe's dark past. Moreover, he didn't allow his father to grant land to the Xiong clan. All kinds of things were in the way. Therefore, Emoshwe decided to use her as an example. Emoshwe's methods were extremely cruel. Therefore, Yen Ruashi had no idea that she was being followed. It wasn't until she was knocked out and taken to a warehouse in the suburbs that she realized that she was done for. What are you doing? Yen Ruashi looked at the men in front of her in panic. Hee, what do you think? Girl, you're pretty good looking, your skin is as good as milk. I'll make you feel good later. A fat man with big ears said as he touched Yen Ruashi's chin. He suddenly felt like vomiting. Get lost, don't touch me. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my father is? Yen Ruashi roared. Who your father is has nothing to do with us. We're only in charge of getting paid to do things, so be good and cooperate. Otherwise we won't go easy on you later. That bitch Emoshwar did this, right? How much did she pay you? I'll double it, no triple it. Yen Ruashi panicked. Chapter 22:15. It has nothing to do with money. In our line of work we have to keep our promises. You can only blame yourself for being unlucky. Little girl, you guys strip her naked and stand here alone to film and take pictures. Don't forget what your employer told you to do, the leader ordered. Yen Ruashi fell into despair when she heard this. Don't force me. I'll bite my tongue and kill myself, whatever. Either you bite yourself and we won't bother with you if you die, or you cooperate. We don't want your life. Threatening them with death didn't seem to work. Yen Ruashi fell into despair. She cried, Huasiqian, I hope you can come and save me. She knew it was impossible. After all, they weren't filming. How could it be so coincidental that Huasiqian would show up? His coat was rudely pulled off and his shirt was unbuttoned. Yen Ruashi cried in despair. She hated Emoshwar to the core. Someone really isn't afraid of death. How dare they touch my people? Who is it? Who is it? The men turned around when they heard the noise. They saw Huasiqian standing not far behind them. He was wearing a black coat and a pair of black leather gloves. Chanchan, is that really you? Yen Ruashi couldn't describe her feelings at this moment. Huasiqian. The leader obviously knew Huasiqian. Very good. You recognize me. Looks like we don't have to waste time talking. Huasiqian smiled. Mr. Hua, the truth is, we were asked to do this. It really wasn't our intention. The leader didn't expect Huasiqian to show up. He panicked. The men behind Huasiqian all had pistols in their hands. In comparison, the axes in their hands were child's play. I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry. I don't have time to listen to your explanation. So let's get this over with. Huasiqian waved his hand and his men rushed forward. Don't use guns. We need to keep a low profile. Huasiqian didn't forget to remind them. As a result, the scene was chaotic and filled with screams and howls. The leader of the group scrambled to Huasiqian's feet and reached out to grab his leather shoes. I'm sorry. Please give us a way out. Huasiqian pulled out a dagger from somewhere. He squatted down and touched the man's face. Then he pressed down on his neck and slit it with the knife. Blood spurted out instantly. The action of cutting the throat was extremely clean and neat, as if he often did this kind of thing. It was so casual. Yen Ruashi was so scared that she couldn't say a word. Huasiqian walked over, took off his clothes and covered Yen Ruashi's body with them. Then he picked her up. Leave no one alive. Yes, boss. Huasiqian walked out with Yen Ruashi in his arms. Behind him, there were cries of agony. For the first time, Yen Ruashi felt that the Huasiqian in front of her was a stranger. Killing people was as easy as killing a chicken. He didn't even blink. She didn't even feel anything. After they got into the car, Yen Ruashi finally calmed down and stammered, Chanchan, thank you for coming to save me. Huasiqian leaned against the back seat of his Rolls-Royce and closed his eyes to rest. Originally, he really didn't want to help. He wanted to wait for the tragedy to end and then reap the benefits. However, he didn't know what was wrong with him. He just felt that it was a little cruel to treat Yen Ruashi this way. After all, she didn't do anything wrong. Therefore, Huasiqian and his men arrived in time. Didn't I tell you not to provoke Emoshwar? Huasiqian said coldly. However, he still didn't open his eyes. Yen Ruashi was shocked. She knew that he was angry. Chapter 22:16. Yeah, I just feel bad for you. Emoshwar didn't even think about why she ended up like this. How could she be so shameless as to set you up? Chanchan, we can't forgive her. She's using that old man from the Xiang family to bully you. I only asked my dad to give them a hard time and she couldn't take it anymore. She even hired people to rape me. She's so evil. You can't be soft-hearted. I know what to do about Emoshwar. Don't get involved anymore. Also, next time use your brain and don't run around by yourself. You're the mayor's daughter after all. Huasiqian's tone was still unfriendly. Qianqian, I know. I'll listen to you from now on. Hua Xiqian didn't say anything else. In the end he was moved and didn't let Yan Ruoshi be harmed by Mo Shui's people. After sending Yan Ruoshi home, Hua Xiqian ordered someone to drive him to the Xiang family's old mansion. When they passed by a small supermarket he even got out of the car to buy some things. Mo Shui didn't receive any news from Hua Xiqian. She didn't know if Hua Xiqian succeeded or failed. He was quite anxious. She was pacing around in circles. Shui, you're too reckless. She's Mayor Yan's daughter after all. What you did was too risky. It's good that you did it cleanly, but I'm afraid there will be endless trouble in the future. Mr. Xiang seemed to be very dissatisfied with Mo Shui's actions. I did it because I wanted to avenge you. That little bitch has been talking to her father about things that are disadvantageous to us recently. Otherwise, the land that was in our hands wouldn't have been snatched away by someone else. Could it be that you can swallow this down? Even if you can't, this isn't the right way to do things. You're too reckless. What if you fail? It has nothing to do with us even if I fail. Those people did it and I won't leave any evidence behind. Even if Yan Ruoshi finds out that I did it, what can she do to me? Mo Shui was getting more and more arrogant. Mr. Xiang was old and doted on Mo Shui, so he didn't say anything else. Master, Mr. Hua Xiqian is here to visit, the butler called out. Why is he here? Is he here to get even with us? Mo Shui was terrified. Let him in. After all, this is my house. He won't dare to do anything. Mr. Xiang sighed slightly. He knew that Hua Xiqian might not have come with good intentions. Mo Shui was a little scared. She wore a dark green qipao and sat beside Elder Xiang. Hua Xiqian came in alone. He didn't bring any of his men with him. He was carrying a red handbag and smiled as he walked. It's almost the Lunar New Year and I didn't know what to buy for you. When I passed by a small supermarket, I saw these red Chinese characters and couplets for the Lunar New Year. It's very festive, so I bought some for you. Hua Xiqian, you're too kind. Mr. Xiang and Mr. Hua Xiqian chatted. Hua Xiqian looked up at Mo Shui, and smiled. Shui, you've become prettier lately. Really? Every time Mo Shui, saw Hua Xiqian smile like that, she felt her hair stand on end. I just saw this Chinese character for happiness. It's very pretty, so I'll give it to you. Are you and Mr. Xiang planning to have a wedding? You're joking, Mr. Hua Xiqian. I'm already so old, why would I want to have a wedding? Shui, and I just want to have someone to rely on. Mr. Xiang was a little embarrassed. After all, Hua Xiqian's words were obviously sarcastic. Mo Shui was obviously not convinced. She looked at Hua Xiqian provocatively. Chapter 22:17. She raised her chin and said angrily, So what if it's a wedding? I'm officially married into the Xiang family. Mr. Xiang is willing to give me a proper status, so it's better than being with a scumbag. Someone's heart is made of stone. No, he's cruel and unscrupulous. Even if I'm pregnant with his child and die for him, he still won't marry me. But that's fine, I won't always be blind. I'll come to my senses one day. Hua Xiqian, do you think you're the only woman in the world? Shui, you're getting worked up again. Look at you, I didn't even say anything. Then Hua Xiqian walked closer to Mo Shui. Mo Shui was so scared that she backed away. Shui, this red flower suits you very well. You look good wearing it, right? It's almost New Year, you have to dress up. Then Hua Xiqian stuck the red flower in his hand into Mo Shui's head. She furrowed her brows. Hua Xiqian, what are you trying to do? Mo Shui felt like she was going crazy. Thank you for the gift to Ruoshi. But unfortunately, the people who gave it to you accidentally disappeared. Mo Shui's heart sank when she heard Hua Xiqian's words. It seemed like she had messed up. I want to thank you on behalf of Ruoshi. We'll repay you later. After all, it's impolite not to reciprocate, right? Hua Xiqian gently lifted Mo Shui's chin. Mo Shui felt like Hua Xiqian was trying to tear her heart apart behind his gentleness. If you're a man, just stab me. Kill me and end everything. Mo Shui was especially afraid of Hua Xiqian's weird side. She didn't know what he was going to do to her, so she was even more afraid. I won't. Please. I won't let you die more comfortably than Song Yisher. Hua Xiqian hugged Mo Shui's head and whispered into her ear. Suddenly Mo Shui felt goosebumps all over her body. There had never been a man more terrifying than him. Okay, I won't disturb the two of you any longer. You guys can continue to be lovey-dovey. I still have to go to the supermarket to buy some New Year's goods. Everyone should celebrate the new year happily. After Hua Xiqin finished speaking, he smiled and left. Mo Shui sat on the armchair, dumbfounded. She gasped for breath. Shui, are you all right? Noticing her abnormal state, Elder Xiang walked over with his walking stick and asked. Mo Shui waved her hand but didn't say anything. South Hill Manor, the twins had just taken their afternoon nap when Hua Min came downstairs and went into the kitchen to check on the food for dinner. At this moment his phone rang. Sis, we're back. Anai Yang's voice was tinged with excitement. So soon. Why don't you come over for dinner tonight? Sure. We really miss Chinese food. Can we have Chinese food? I like spicy food. No problem. Go home and change your clothes before coming over. Dinner will be served at 6 p.m. sharp. Please. Do you still remember what I told you? Anai Yang asked worriedly. Of course, your sister doesn't have Alzheimer's yet. Hua Min laughed. Skid. Then let's not waste any time. Let's do it tonight. Tonight? Isn't that too soon? It's not too soon. I can't wait. Hurry up and discuss it with my brother-in-law. Anai Yang looked excited. Okay, I'll discuss it with your brother-in-law in a bit. After hanging up, Hua Min sighed. Young people these days were crazy. Then she picked up her phone and video called Qin Chu. Chapter 22:18. Honey, are you busy? No, go ahead. Qin Chu's answer made all the executives in the conference room feel embarrassed. It was the end of the year and they were only 1/3 of the way through the year-end report. Hua Min's call came at the perfect time. But it was a good thing. All of GK's senior employees knew that President Qin spoiled his wife to no end. Anything related to Hua Min was a big deal to him. No matter how busy he was, he would never say that he was busy. Anai Yang is back and he's coming over for dinner tonight. Also, about the plan I told you about last time, we need to help him. Okay. Qin Chu nodded. Do you know what the plan is? You haven't forgotten, have you? Hua Min remembered telling Mr. Qin about it one night before they went to bed. But it had been a few days and she wasn't sure if he remembered. Remember, honey. Qin Chu's voice was extremely gentle. They come back early today. Let's set it up, okay? No problem. Hey, I'll leave you to it. I'm hanging up. Okay, see you in a bit. Qin Chu's eyes were filled with love the entire time. The female executives in the room were so envious that their eyes lit up. They were all envious that Hua Min had such a good husband. But then again, they also knew that President Hua had created miracles in the past 3 years. Therefore, most people only saw Qin Chu as handsome and rich, but few knew that Hua Min was just as good. Only the strong deserved the strong. At 5:30 p.m., Qin Chu came home on time. The twins flew into Qin Chu's arms. Daddy, you've worked hard. Hug. Little Bean flattered as usual. Thank you, Little Bean. Daddy didn't work hard. Qin Chu's heart was filled with warmth. Daddy, your shirt looks good today. I'll give you 100 likes. Pudding glanced at her daddy's shirt. She found that this black and white color was the same one worn by Yang Yang in the popular TV series, A Slight Smile Is Very Alluring, a while ago. It was a casual shirt from a certain luxury brand. It was very beautiful and looked very young when worn. No one could tell that Qin Chu was a man in his 30s. Your mommy chose this. Qin Chu smiled. Oh, looks like mommy has improved. Pudding was a little surprised. Little Bean covered her mouth and laughed. That's true. Mommy's taste was so old-fashioned in the past. The clothes she chose for Daddy are so funny. They look like factory clothes. Who's talking bad about me? Hua Min pretended to be angry and walked out of the kitchen with his hands on his hips. Mommy, Sis and I are praising your taste for dressing Daddy up like a handsome middle-aged man. But you're really good at it. Aren't you worried that your husband will run away with you? Little Bean asked on purpose. Of course not. I believe in my husband. Hua Min raised her chin confidently. Mommy, I'll give you 100 points for showing off your love. But can we eat now? I'm so hungry, Little Bean yelled as she covered her round belly. Someone's eating again. What did Handsome Sue teach you last time? Pudding glanced at Little Bean in disdain. Handsome Sue said, I can't be greedy, but he didn't say I can't eat. Sis, you're too much. The two sisters were arguing about food again. Just then the doorbell rang. The housekeeper opened the door and saw Chin Jia standing at the door in a burgundy coat. Her hands were full of gifts. "Auntie Jia, you're here." The twins immediately ran over and held Chin Jia's hands enthusiastically. Chapter 22:19. Like Huamin, Chin Jia kept a low profile and didn't pay much attention to her appearance. However, ever since their relationship was made public, she didn't want to be a burden to Ni Yang and was afraid that paparazzi would take pictures of her. Therefore, Chin Jia began to dress herself up. She looked very intellectual and dressed elegantly. "Pudding Little Bean, these are the gifts we bought for you in Bali and Tahiti. There are toys and beach dresses. I hope you like them." Chin Jia handed them a lot of gifts. "Thank you, Auntie Jia." The twins were very good at pretending to be obedient. They accepted the gifts and immediately thanked her. "Sister Myung, brother-in-law," Chin Jia greeted her with a smile. "Come on in. The kitchen is still preparing. We'll eat later. Let's talk." Huamin took Chin Jia's hand and sat down on the sofa in the living room. They chatted and asked about everything. They talked about Bali, Tahiti, and Southside Recuperation Center. After half an hour, Chin Jia couldn't sit still anymore. She looked at her watch. "Sister Mion and I Yang isn't here yet? He didn't come with you? I thought you came one after the other." Huamin was surprised. "After we got off the plane, we went back to our respective homes. We agreed to meet at your place at 6 p.m., but it's already past 6 p.m. He's not the type to be late." Chin Jia began to feel uneasy. "Oh, I think it's rush hour. He's probably stuck in a traffic jam," Huamin explained. Chin Jia nodded. "Yeah, that's possible." Another 20 minutes passed, but there was still no sign of Ni Yang. Chin Jia couldn't sit still anymore. She sent Ni Yang a WeChat message, but there was no response. She called him again. The call went through, but no one picked up. Just then Huamin's cell phone rang. "Hello? What? Say that again. How is it? Where's he now?" Huamin panicked. After he hung up, his face turned pale. "What's wrong, Sister Mion?" "Sister Mion?" Chin Jia had a bad feeling about this. "Shao Jia, I'm telling you, don't be agitated. You have to be strong." "What's going on, Sister Mion?" Chin Jia's voice trembled and her heart raced. "I just received a call from Southside. Ni Yang got into a car accident on his way here. He's in the hospital right now." "What?" Chin Jia felt dizzy and almost fainted. Fortunately, Huamin reacted quickly and supported her. "Are you okay, little Jia?" Chin Jia waved her hand and said, "Don't worry about me, Sister Mion. Let's go to the hospital now." Huamin looked at Chin Chu pitifully. "Hubby, I'm nervous. I don't dare to drive. Can you take us there?" "Right, let's go. Daddy, we want to see Uncle and I Yang too." The twins put down the presents in their hands and ran over. Just like that, Chin Chu drove the black Bentley to Southside with Chin Jia, Huamin, and the twins. On the way, Chin Jia covered her face and cried. Huamin and Chin Chu looked grave. The twins comforted her. "Auntie Jia, don't cry. Uncle will be fine." "Sister Mion, I still can't believe it. How could he?" "Just stay strong. We don't know what's going on yet. We'll talk about it when we get to the hospital." Huamin patted Chin Jia's shoulder and comforted her. Chin Chu drove fast and arrived at Southside in less than 20 minutes. A group of people rushed directly to the emergency room door. "Dr. Kai, how's Ni Yang's injury? Is it serious?" Huamin asked. "For minutes ago he was brain dead." "What?" Chin Jia felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. The twins also burst into tears. They were extremely sad. "Little Chin, as his fiancé, you should go see him and say goodbye," Dr. Kai said cruelly to Chin Jia. Chapter 22:20. "No, I don't believe it. Can't be true. No, he can't die." Chin Jia wanted to cry, but no tears came out. She was so sad that she forgot to cry. "Jia, calm down." Huamin comforted Chin Jia. "Sister Mion, I don't believe it. And I Yang wouldn't leave me alone. He wouldn't abandon me. When we were in Bali, he swore in front of the temple that he would take care of me for the rest of my life. I don't believe he broke his promise. Jia, I didn't think this would happen. You should take a look at him first. Stay strong." Chin Jia walked numbly to the emergency room. Every step she took was difficult. After Chin Jia walked in, Huamin leaned into Chin Chu's arms guiltily. "Hubby, aren't we going overboard by doing this? Shao Jia will hate us when she finds out the truth, right?" I think we went too far. But since Ni Young wanted to give her a surprise, let's do it. Mr. Chin was very calm. It's not a surprise, it's a shock. Huamin was acting, but he still felt bad. Chin Jie's feelings were real. She couldn't bear to see him like that because she knew how much she loved Ni Young. Daddy, Mommy, how was our acting? Little Bean stuck out her tongue. Chin Chu gave her a thumbs up. Great. Is Big Sister's acting better or am I better? Not again. Chin Chu was speechless. The only bad thing about having two daughters at home was that they had to compete with each other. The family of four waited at the door. When Chin Jia walked in, Ni Young was lying on the bed. The white sheet covered his entire body, including his face. This was what the hospital did to the deceased. Chin Jia covered her mouth to stop herself from crying, but she couldn't suppress the sadness in her heart. She slowly walked over and sat down beside him. Liar. You big liar, you said you would take care of me for the rest of my life. How could you go back on your words? Then Chin Jia began to sob quietly. Ni Young lay on the bed feeling very conflicted. Originally, he wanted to give Chin Jia a surprise proposal as a prank. Now, seeing Chin Jia's sadness with his own eyes made his heart ache. But to be honest, he hadn't heard her say goodbye to him in a long time. Chin Jia wasn't good with sweet words. When they were in love, they didn't make promises of love. So, Ni Young gritted his teeth and decided to hold on a little longer to see if he could hear any surprises from her. Sure enough, after crying for a while, Chin Jia slowly said, I was born in an ordinary family. I wasn't pretty, my personality wasn't the best, and my grades weren't the best. So, I worked extra hard to get a fair chance like everyone else. The most satisfying thing in my life was to have a stable job. I didn't dare to ask for anything else. I even thought that when I got older I would get married, have kids, and live like this for the rest of my life. Until I met you. You changed me. Chapter 22-21. How did you? Chin Jia was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Ni Young to come back to life when she was in despair. How miraculous. I'm not dead. I was lying. Who knew you'd be so stupid? You're not dead? Chin Jia froze again as if she couldn't believe it. I'm not dead. I'm sorry. I colluded with everyone to lie to you. I just wanted to give you a surprise and listen to your heartfelt confession. I didn't think you'd. Ni Yang's heart ached when he thought about how Chin Jia pointed the scissors at him. This silly girl didn't say anything. Even when they were in Bali and Tahiti, they slept on the same bed. Chin Jia also rarely showed her feelings, which made Ni Young feel more and more insecure. That was why he did this on a whim. But look what happened in the end. She had heard his confession, but she had almost killed him. You lied to me? Chin Jia was furious. Jia, I just wanted to listen to your heartfelt confession. Before Ni Young could finish, Chin Jia slapped him hard across the face. Ni Young, you're too much. Even if you're a celebrity, you can't do this. Did you know that? I was so worried about you. How dare you lie to me? You used this prank to test my feelings. I'll never talk to you again. Chin Jia got up and ran out of the door in a huff. Shao Jia, listen to me. Ni Young was also anxious and hurriedly ran out after her. Jia. Huamin saw Chin Jia run out in a huff and knew that they had found out. It was normal for a girl to react this way. After all, when she heard about it, she didn't agree with it at all. He knew that with Jia's personality she would be furious. But this little bastard still insisted. Look at what happened now. Jia, listen to me. Slow down. Be careful. Ni Young followed behind Chin Jia. The two ran out one after the other. Little Bean, so Uncle Ni Young is making a big fuss right now? Pudding, it's expected that Auntie Jia would be angry, but I think she's only angry for a short time. With Uncle Ni Yang's personality, he'll make her happy. It's just a matter of time. Little Bean, so let's guess how long it'll take this time? Pudding, let's bet? I think it'll take an hour. Little Bean, I don't think so. Auntie Jia must be very angry this time. I think it'll take at least one night. Pudding, if you lose you can't eat ice cream and cake for a week. Little Bean, can we change the bet? Pudding, no. Little, what if you guess? Pudding, if I lose I'll give you 10,000 yuan. You can buy whatever you want. Little Bean, really, as promise? Pudding, as you know? Little. In the end, Little Bean couldn't resist the temptation and made the bet with her sister. On the other side, Huamin leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder worriedly. Honey, Do you think this little bastard's comedy will turn into a tragedy? Jia won't break up with him because of this, right? She won't break up with him, but she'll definitely be angry. Anyone in her position wouldn't be happy. It's just a proposal. Is there a need to go this far? Qin Chu thought that Enai Yang went overboard this time. The twins and the Qin couple waited in the hospital to hear the final news. After all, this was a surprise that Enai Yang asked Huamin and Qin Chu to help him plan for a long time. However, this surprise seemed to be overboard. Qin Jia was furious. Chapter 22-22. At the entrance of the hospital, Qin Jia angrily walked out with Enai Yang right behind her. However, no matter what he said, Qin Jia wouldn't listen. She didn't even give him a chance to speak. Enai Yang began to regret his decision. He shouldn't have done that. Just then a van sped over. Qin Jia was walking with her head down in anger, so she didn't see it. At that moment, Enai Yang ran over and hugged Qin Jia. "Jia, be careful." He hugged Qin Jia tightly and fell towards the side of the road. Due to the speed, both of them lost their balance and fell to the side of the road. Enai Yang's head hit the ground and with a loud bang he bled. Enai Yang. Qin Jia was scared out of her wits. Enai Yang felt dizzy. Enai Yang, don't scare me, are you okay? Qin Jia saw it with her own eyes, so she didn't care about what happened just now. Zhao Jia. Marry me. Enai Yang didn't care about the blood on his head as he reached into his pocket and took out a small box. Inside the box was a 3-carat diamond ring. Although it wasn't very big or shiny, the design was beautiful. "Let's go, I'll help you to the hospital." Qin Jia used all her strength to help Enai Yang up. "Promise me or else. I won't get up." "You? What time is it? You're going to die." Qin Jia was so anxious that she was about to cry. "I don't care. If you don't promise me, you might as well die." Enai Yang gritted his teeth as he endured the pain in his head. "I'm so scared of you. You think you can bully people just because you're a superstar? I promise you anything. Please come with me to the hospital." Qin Jia felt like she was about to lose to him. Hearing Qin Jia's agreement, Enai Yang didn't rush to the hospital. Instead, he opened the box and took out the ring. He put it on Qin Jia's finger personally. Because he had secretly taken measurements before, the ring fit perfectly. Enai Yang picked up Qin Jia's hand and kissed it gently. "Little Jia, I will give you happiness. I won't let you down. Believe me. Let's go to the hospital." "Stop talking." Qin Jia was scared to death. She used all her strength to help Enai Yang walk back. The medical staff at the entrance of the hospital rushed to help. 30 minutes later, at the entrance of the emergency room. "How is he?" Qin Jia, Huamian, and the others crowded around the door and asked anxiously. "The patient is fine. It's all superficial wounds and a slight concussion. He'll be fine as long as he gets proper rest." Everyone was relieved to hear what the doctor said. At this moment, the door of the emergency room opened. Enai Yang had already changed out of his hospital gown. She didn't know when he had changed into a handsome black suit. Huamin had already arranged for all the public speakers in Southside to play the beat. Enai Yang held a black microphone in his hand and walked out step by step. Then she sang to Qin Jia. "I've always wanted to tell you that you give me unimaginable happiness, like an oasis to a desert. Say that you'll love me forever, be my root, my wings, let me fly and have a nest to return to. I'll do it, I can do it, I won't regret giving up everything. Just be together, watch time pass, remember the way we love each other. Just love you, sadness and joy with you, the dullness has meaning. Just love you, sweet and warm, that's you." It was an old song, Just Love You by Tao Zhi. It was Enai Yang's favorite song since many years ago. It was also Qin Jia's favorite love song. Chapter 22-23. Qin Jia remembered that when they first got together, she jokingly asked Enai Yang to sing it for her on her birthday. However, Enai Yang was jealous and didn't sing it. Instead, he sang Happy Birthday for Qin Jia. Qin Jia didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Later, she thought that Enai Yang had forgotten about it. Who would have thought that after a few years she would be able to hear Enai Yang sing this extremely affectionate song? In fact, Qin Jia liked this song not only because of the soothing melody but also because of the lyrics. It was sweet and warm. Perhaps everyone, regardless of whether they were men or women, hoped that one day they could meet someone they truly loved, and then live a simple and plain life together. This wish was actually very simple, but it was something that many people couldn't realize. And Yang's voice was naturally good. Plus, he loved Qinjie deeply, so when he sang, his eyes were filled with indescribable love. Qinjie couldn't take it anymore. Tears welled up in her eyes. She covered her mouth with both hands to stop herself from crying. At some point, the emergency room was surrounded by colleagues from South Side. Huamin, Qinchu and the twins were also there. They quietly watched as the audience witnessed their happiness. When the song ended, Yang got down on one knee. Miss Qinjie, will you marry Mr. Yang and be his wife no matter if you're poor, sick, old or sick? Will you be with him for the rest of your life? Isn't that the question Godfather always asks? Qinjie sobbed. She was obviously very emotional. She didn't think that there would be so many surprises. I have to ask you myself so that I can rest assured. You have to answer carefully. There are so many people watching. You can't go back on your words. Yang looked at her with a smile. Qinjie was sobbing so hard that she couldn't speak. All she could do was cover her mouth and cry. Little Bean, wow, I'm so touched. Uncle Yang is so romantic. Pudding, Uncle Jishin, if you're like this, you would have gotten Auntie Bella a long time ago. Why do you have to go through so much trouble? Little Bean, don't blame him. Everyone is different. Uncle Jishin is the outwardly passionate type, while Uncle Yang is outwardly passionate and black-bellied. Pudding, if I were Auntie Jia, I would cry like a dog too. I'm so touched. The twins were touched and Huamin kept wiping away his tears. Qin Chu kept his arm around her shoulders. Mr. Qin, when are you going to propose to me again? Oh yeah, speaking of which, we haven't had a wedding yet. What a waste. Huamin began to act coquettishly. So Mrs. Qin, are you complaining about me? Qin Chu lifted her chin and asked with a smile. What? Shouldn't you complain? Huamin raised his chin provocatively. Probably. So when are you going to marry me? Huamin pouted cutely. We've always been legally married. We haven't gotten a divorce yet. I remember telling a certain someone. Qin Chu smiled. But we haven't had a wedding yet. He thought back to 4 years ago. If it wasn't for Hua Xiqian ruining their wedding, they would have had a grand wedding. So honey, you really want it? Qin Chu looked at Huamin and asked slowly. Not really. I was just joking. The kids are already so big, why would we have a wedding? Honey, I was just teasing you. Don't take it to heart. Huamin smiled as if she didn't want Qin Chu to know what she was thinking. She knew that she was being too pretentious. The twins were already 3 years old. There was no point in having a wedding. But did every woman have a teenage dream? So at that moment Huamin was conflicted. Chapter 22-24. Qin Chu looked at Huamian with a complicated expression on his face. Then he turned her shoulders around. He was about to say something when Yang got up from the ground and walked over to Huamian in front of all the colleagues at Southside. He kissed Qinjie hard on the lips. This was the first time they had done something so bold in public and everyone started cheering. Qinjie blushed and tried to push Yang away, but Yang kissed her even harder. Wow, such a big scene. It's not suitable for children. Little Bean said as she covered her eyes with her chubby little hands. She left a big gap between her fingers so she could peek at them. Don't pretend. It's not a big scene in your eyes, okay? Pudding glanced at Little Bean calmly. Little Bean immediately pushed her sister and warned her, please keep your voice down. Don't let Dr. Hui hear you or he'll kill me. After the passionate kiss, Yang put his arm around Qinjie's shoulder and announced domineeringly, everyone, thank you for helping me complete the proposal that I've been planning for a long time. After the new year, on the 8th day of the first lunar month, Jia and I will hold our wedding at the Mian Hotel on Yunding Mountain. We sincerely invite everyone to our wedding. The 8th day of the first lunar month? So soon? Qinjie was shocked. Don't worry, leave it to me, Yang comforted her gently. This pity. It's so cruel. Pudding sighed proudly. Pudding, Little Bean. Yang called out. We're here, Uncle Yang, the twins answered in unison. Is there a problem with being Uncle's flower girl? Yang looked at the twins with a smile. No problem, Sister Mian, brother-in-law, thank you for helping me. Yang thanked Qin Chu and Huamian sincerely. We're family, don't be so formal. I'm so happy to see you two finally come to fruition. Humin choked up. Speaking of which, Sister Mion, you're our matchmaker. And I Yong smiled happily. After the unusual proposal was announced, Mr. Chin asked calmly, "So, can we go home for dinner now?" "Ah, brother-in-law, we want to eat at your place too." And I Yong pulled Chin Jie's hand. "Let's go. We can discuss the details of the wedding." Chin Chu was also very easy to talk to. Just like that, they returned to South Hill Manor. 10 o'clock that night. The video of Ni Yong singing and proposing in the hospital went viral on WeChat. Ni Yong had no reason to hide it. He wanted to be high profile, so the news spread all over the country in an instant. Ni Yong posted a photo of him and Chin Jie with their hands crossed. He wrote, "From now on, the two of us will be fine." The fans below were crazily commenting. In just 1 hour, the number of reposts was as high as 500,000 and the number of likes was over 1 million. The number of comments below exceeded 200,000 in 1 hour. It was terrifying. All the headlines were about Ni Yang's successful proposal, and the wedding was suspected to be held on the 8th of January at GK's Myeon Hotel. Because of the foreshadowing, most of the fans gave them their blessings. "Congratulations, my idol. I hope you'll be happy from now on. That's all. Honey, when I fell in love with you, you had just debuted and I was just in high school. Now you're getting married and I've graduated from college and am working with my boyfriend. I hope we can be like you and have a happy relationship. Congratulations, you'll have a baby soon. He'll be as handsome as you, hee hee. And I young Appa, you're getting married. What about me? I'm so sad, but I still wish you the best." Chapter 22-25. Kind people will be rewarded. A bitch like Ingzi will never have a good ending. Your little girlfriend is pretty. Although she's not in the industry, I think she suits you. She's low-key and reliable. That night, Suyu, who hadn't been on Weibo for a long time, reposted Ni Yang's post. He generously said, "I heard President Chin is paying for the wedding. What should I give him?" Such a funny post immediately attracted the attention of netizens. They all left comments below to join in on the fun. "President Su, give me your black Lamborghini 6th Element. Are you willing to part with it? President Su, I suggest you give Ni Yang a wife. That way Ni Yang Appa will have many wives. He'll be very happy. President Su, you can give him a mansion and a sports car. After all, you're that famous. I heard that Ni Yang is Dr. Hua's godbrother. Are you trying to please your brother-in-law by liking Dr. Hua? Idiot, watch your words. Dr. Hua is Mr. Chin's wife. Don't spread rumors. President Su, when will you announce the good news? If you don't get married soon, you'll be a bachelor for 10,000 years. My heart aches for you. President Su, why don't you marry me? I can wash clothes, cook and warm your bed." Huh. Then Qin Chu, Huamin, Jiang Shaowei and Wei Liao all reposted the post. Ni Yang's marriage became a hot topic. It was almost Chinese New Year, so the atmosphere was very good. After Tang Chuan came back, he kept a low profile. Huamin didn't know that he was back. So when Qin Ming called her and asked about Tang Chuan, she was quite surprised. Since she was on vacation, Huamin drove out to buy snacks for the twins. Qin Ning's call came at this time. "Sister-in-law, Ning Ning." "Sister-in-law, are you busy?" "I'm not busy. I'm on vacation and haven't been to South Side yet. I plan to go back after the new year," Huamin said as he pushed the shopping cart around the supermarket. "Oh, I see. What's wrong? Ning Ning, are you looking for me?" "Sis-in-law, have you seen Tang Chuan recently?" Qin Ning asked tentatively. "Tang Chuan? Didn't he go to America with you?" Huamin was really not well informed, but it was not her fault. After Tang Chuan came back, only Wei Liao and Suyu knew about it. Huamin did not meet Suyu much, so she naturally did not ask too much. "He went back a long time ago." "Really? I don't know. I've never seen him before." "Oh, I see." Qin Ning seemed a little disappointed. "Ning Ning, what's wrong with you two? Did they quarrel? Why did he come back all of a sudden? Didn't he contact you?" Huamin asked a series of questions. Qin Ning thought for a moment before slowly replying, "Something happened between us, but it's not what you think. Anyways, we haven't contacted each other in a long time. To be honest, I'm quite worried about him. After thinking about it, I think I said some hurtful things before he left. I think he hates me. That's not right. Young Master Tang isn't someone who holds grudges. Humin comforted. Qin Ning didn't say anything. Ning Ning, if you have anything to say you can tell me. I'm a woman too maybe. I can give you some advice or something. Humin could vaguely sense that Qin Ning was not in a good mood. Chapter 22-26. Sis-in-law, I'm going back with my uncle to celebrate Chinese New Year in a few days. Really? That's great. Where's your uncle? Humin asked. My dad is going to the South Pole with a few of his old friends. He's getting more and more ridiculous at his age. He's playing extreme sports like a young man. I tried to talk him out of it but he wouldn't listen. I can't do anything about it. When are you guys coming home? I booked a flight in 3 days. So soon? It's great. Pudding and Little Bean will be so happy to know that you and your grandparents are coming home. Humin smiled happily. Actually, I'm a bit conflicted, sis-in-law. I'm scared that I'll run into Tang Chuan when I go back for Chinese New Year. Then we'll be entangled again. But I want to see him and see if he's doing well. I'm so conflicted. Qin Ning had never been in a relationship, so she didn't know what she was thinking. Humin chuckled upon hearing this. Ning, how about you come back first? We'll talk about it when you come back. I'll talk to you in person, okay? Humin looked at Qin Ning as if he knew what she was thinking. However, Qin Ning didn't want to because in her heart sis-in-law was a godlike woman. Okay, it's settled then. Sis-in-law, let's talk when I get back. I've been so annoyed lately. I'm at the supermarket. Tell me if you want to eat anything, I'll buy it for you. Humin really wanted his home to be lively with his in-laws and Qin Ning. With Jixin and his mother at home there were 9 people in total. On his way back from the supermarket, Humin happened to pass by GK headquarters. Therefore he parked his car downstairs on a whim. Then he went to Qin Chu's office. President Hua. Assistant Yang immediately greeted Humin when he saw him at the door. Is my husband here? President Qin is here, but what? Humin noticed that Assistant Yang was hesitant to speak, so he asked jokingly, is there a mistress? A vixen? No, President Hua, our President Qin is not that kind of person. Please don't tarnish his reputation. Assistant Yang was speechless. Who is that? So mysterious. Humin felt that not many people could enter Qin Chu's office, so he was really curious. Without waiting for Yang's reply, Humin pushed open the door and walked in. Qin Chu was writing on the sofa, and there was someone sitting beside him. Humin was a little dumbfounded when he saw that person. It was too sudden. Honey, why are you here? Qin Chu saw Humin and immediately smiled gently. I went to the supermarket to buy New Year's goods and I was passing by. So I came to see you. Hi, Humin. Rick, who was wearing a black leather jacket, calmly greeted Humin with a pair of deep eyes. Rick, why did you suddenly come back? The last time they went to New Orleans, Humin asked Rick about it. At the time, Rick said that he had no plans to come back to China, so he saw Rick talking and laughing in Qin Chu's office. Humin was really shocked. I came back to China for some business. Rick was still a man of few words, as if he would lose out if he said another word. So, does it have something to do with Cece? Humin couldn't wait to ask. She had always subconsciously thought that Rick and Cece were deeply in love with each other, so there was a chance. Chapter 22-27. No. Qin Chu immediately rejected her. Oh, Rick, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? My daughters will be happy to see you. It was rare for Qin Chu to see Rick, so he sincerely invited him over for dinner and let his daughters see Uncle Rick. I can't tonight, I still have some unfinished business. How about one of these days? I'll go over when I'm free. Okay, call me when you're here. Rick nodded and got up to say goodbye to Humin and Qin Chu. After Rick left, Humin sat down beside Qin Chu and whispered, Honey, do you think Rick's sudden return really has nothing to do with Cece? Honey, why are you still thinking about them? It's been so long. Qin Chu looked at Humin amused. It's not that I'm thinking about them, I just feel like, how do I put it? I feel like Rick and Cece's fate hasn't ended yet. Humin didn't know why she felt this way, but she really wanted them to be together again. So you think you're a fortune teller under a bridge? You even want to set their fates. Qin Chu patted Humin's head lovingly. Humin immediately felt embarrassed. She covered her face with both hands and fell into Qin Chu's arms. It's almost New Year, everyone's coming back. I suddenly feel like a lot of things are going to happen. Huamin sighed as she lay on Qin Chu's lap. For example? Qin Chu looked at her curiously. For example, Ning Ning's coming back. And there seems to be a lot going on between her and Tang Chuan. Although she didn't say it clearly, I think my guess is right. Then Rick's coming back. Although he doesn't admit that it's related to Cece, I don't believe that he won't go and see Cece. What do you think? Huamin blabbered on. Qin Chu rubbed her delicate face. Okay, we don't have to worry about it, whether it's a story or a legend. It's all up to fate, up to them. Oi. That night, in front of a residential area in Sea City, Cece went out to buy some beer and fried chicken, planning to eat with her sister. She vaguely felt like someone was following her, but when she turned around she didn't see anyone. That's weird. I feel like someone's following me, but why is there no one? It was late at night and Cece was scared by herself. She quickly ran to the door of the unit and went upstairs. Not far from her, Cece's was behind a big Cece's. He waited for almost 3 hours before Cece came downstairs. He was really lucky. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to find her after one night. They hadn't seen each other for more than 3 years, but she was still the same. She looked almost the same as she did in the video the other day. However, that day Cece was drunk and her cheeks were red from the alcohol. Today Cece looked very sunny. She was wearing a white down jacket and a cute little red hat. She was jumping around with all kinds of snacks in her hands. She was still so cute and innocent. Rick's heart raced when he saw her. He even had the urge to go up and say hi to her, but in the end he controlled himself. Godfather, we should go. The other party's people are here, one of his subordinates cautiously reminded him. Okay, Rick replied in a muffled voice. Then he turned around and got into a black Mercedes-Benz 450. After Cece got home, she told her sister about what happened. Sis, let me tell you something. It's really weird. It's really weird. Don't be scared. Cece said mysteriously. Chapter 22-28. What is it? Hearing Cece's words, Xian was also curious. I went out to buy something and I think I was followed. Followed? No way. You're not a celebrity and we're not rich. Xian thought it was unbelievable. I'm confused too. But I had this feeling when I came back. You know, women's sixth sense is usually very accurate. I suddenly turned around and wanted to catch that person. But I didn't see anything. So, Xian smiled at her sister as she ate her chips. So, sis, do you think that thing is here? What thing? Xian froze. A ghost. Cece pretended to stick out her tongue. Go away. There's no such thing as a ghost. Don't scare yourself. You're already in your 20s, don't act like a kid. Haha, I'm just joking with you. But sis, you've been glowing lately. Did something good happen? Cece said as she sat next to her sister and hugged her shoulder. No. Xian seemed a little guilty. Impossible, don't lie to me. You've never been able to hide anything from me since we were kids. If you don't tell me, then I'll have to guess. Is there someone you like? No. Xian said as her face turned red. Oh, you're blushing. Cece laughed. Nielingxi, don't cause trouble, okay? Xian was a little angry. Sis, don't tell me you like your boss? Cece glanced at her sister's phone. She saw that her sister was on Weibo, but she was looking at Suyu's Weibo. She paid so much attention to Suyu because he was the president of the company. What are you talking about? Who is President Su? Why would he like me? I just think that President Su has arranged a few big movies for me recently and I'm very grateful. That's good, sis. You can't like Suyu. You can like anyone but him, okay? Cece warned. Why? Xian looked at her younger sister with a guilty conscience. Suyu has someone he likes, and he likes her a lot. Cece had heard about Suyu and Huamin a long time ago. I know. Isn't she GK's Lady Qin? But Lady Qin already has a husband. It's been so long, I'm sure President Su has gotten over her, right? Xian sighed. That's where you're wrong. Just look at what happened to Jian Tong and you'll know. She didn't know her place and always played dirty tricks. So now she's hurting herself and others. I don't ask you to be rich, but don't mess with the big shots, okay? The two of us are just ordinary people. Even if you really become an A-list celebrity in the future, I don't want you to marry into a rich family. I just want you to find a man who loves you and live a stable life. Although Cece was his younger sister, after experiencing what happened with Rick, she felt that being ordinary was the best. Little girl, why are you lecturing me? Xian laughed. Sis, I'm serious, I'm not joking with you. Don't like Suyu, please don't. Oh, okay. When Xian said this, it was obvious that she didn't have much confidence. Although she knew that she shouldn't like Suyu and that Cece was right, it wasn't easy to control a person's feelings. After chatting with her sister for a while, Cece went back to her room. Just then she saw a WeChat message from Huamin. Huamin, Cece, are you there? Chapter 22-29. Cece, I'm here, Sister Mian. Huamin, you're still awake? Cece, yeah, I was just chatting with my sister. Sister Mian, what's up? Cece thought Huamin was talking to her on WeChat so seriously because he wanted to talk to her about something. Huamin, Cece, I have something to tell you. Cece, okay, go ahead. I'm listening. You're so serious that I'm getting nervous. Huamin, don't be nervous. It's not something to be scared of. Might be a good thing for you. I've been thinking about it for a while, but I still decided to tell you. Cece, Sister Mian, just tell me. I'm dying of anxiety. Cece was an impatient person and couldn't keep things to herself. Hearing Huamin's hesitation, she wanted to fly to him immediately. Huamin, Cece, Rick is back. Bang. Cece panicked. She stood up abruptly and broke the teacup on the bedside table. What? Cece asked again, unsure. Rick's back, Cece. This time Huamian used a voice message to speak more clearly. When? Cece asked. I saw him this afternoon. He was in my husband's office. Is he okay? Cece felt like she was going to speak incoherently. Her heart was racing. Rick came back so suddenly that she wasn't prepared for it at all. But to Cece it was indeed a surprise. He's fine. Actually, didn't I tell you last time? I saw him in New Orleans. Rick's always been very good. It's just that he's still so quiet and doesn't talk as much as before. Oh. Cece seemed to have a lot on her mind. Did he go to see you? Huamin asked tentatively. No, Cece answered, a little disappointed. Oh. I have a feeling that since he's back he might go and see you. Huamin comforted Cece. No way. He hasn't looked for me in 3 years. He won't look for me again. Maybe he came back for something else? After Cece calmed down, she began to let her imagination run wild. Sister Mian. I beg you for something. Go ahead, Cece. If you see Rick, can you tell him something for me? Cece asked slowly. What words? Tell her. I'm fine, I don't hate him anymore. I also hope that he'll be fine. Even if we don't have the chance to meet again in the future and we'll be far apart from each other. I also hope that he'll be happy on the other side of the earth in some corner. Oh, I will. After sending Cece a WeChat message, Huamin's heart was heavy. Chin Chu came in with 2 glasses of red wine. Would you like a drink? Chin Chu handed him a cup. Huamin took it and took a small sip. Honey, did Rick say when he's coming over for dinner? It hasn't been decided yet. What do you want? Chin Chu could tell that his wife had something on her mind. I want to ask Cece to come over. Honey, do you really think it's a good idea to be so stubborn? You don't know how much Cece wants to see him. My heart aches when I see her like this. But honey, you have to know that if they meet and nothing changes, Cece will be even sadder. Rick won't feel any better either. Although he's the head of the family now, sometimes the higher the position, the harder it is for him to control himself. Chin Chu didn't agree with Huamin's idea of bringing Cece and Rick together. I don't care, I just want to give them one last chance to see each other. It has nothing to do with getting back together, I just want Cece to see Rick one more time. My heart aches for her. For the first time, Huamin let his emotions get the better of him. Chin Chu held the red wine in his hand and didn't say anything. Honey, is that okay? One last time. Huamin saw that her husband didn't say anything, so she began to whine. Chapter 22-30. Okay. Although Chin Chu didn't agree with his wife, he was eventually convinced. Huamin happily made a peace sign with his hands and kissed Chin Chu on the cheek. Time passed quickly. Before Rick came for dinner, Chin Ning and Chin Chu's parents came home. The twins were so happy that they were jumping around in the house. After dinner, the twins played with their grandparents in the living room. Qin Chu went upstairs to unpack with a heavy heart. Huimin went to see her. Ning Ning, sis-in-law. Qin Ning turned around. Something on your mind? No. I'm just tired from the long flight. Then take a good rest. Tell me what you want to eat. Your brother prepared a car for you. It's parked outside. If you want to go out, just drive. The gas tank is full. Okay. Thank you, big brother. Thank you, sis-in-law. We're family. Don't be so polite. Huimin patted Qin Ning's shoulder and turned to leave. The truth was Huimin wanted to ask her about her progress with Tang Chuan. But seeing Qin Ning's tired face, he didn't ask. After Huimin left, Qin Ning unpacked her luggage. She was as low-key as ever. She didn't even post that she was back for Chinese New Year. She was as calm as usual. Suddenly she thought of something and video called Su Yu. Su Yu, Wei Liao and Tang Chuan were drinking tea at a tea house. Little Bean. Su Yu smiled gently. Handsome Su, what are you doing? I'm drinking tea. Drinking tea? With whom? Men or women? Tall or short? Fat or thin? Little Bean gossiped. Before Su Yu could say anything, Tang Chuan interrupted with a smile. Little Bean, you're so gossipy. Are you going to be a paparazzi when you grow up? Uncle Tang is here. Little Bean nodded like a little adult. And your Uncle Wei. Su Yu added with a smile. And your future father-in-law. Tang Chuan suddenly thought of the story about the Qin family and Wei Liao's engagement. Wei Liao was speechless. Uncle Tang, are you old? Do you have dementia? Did he remember wrongly? Uncle Wei Liao is my sister's future father-in-law, not me. My future father-in-law is Uncle Gao, Little Bean corrected. Tang Chuan, Wei Liao and Su Yu were so happy that they rocked back and forth. Kids nowadays are really very smart. Tang Chuan sighed. Handsome Su, why haven't you come to our house these days? Didn't you hear that your grandparents are back? Su Yu asked as he sipped his tea. Little Bean smiled mysteriously. Yeah, my grandparents are back from Hawaii, and so is my auntie. Ahem. Tang Chuan immediately coughed when he heard the word auntie. He didn't expect Qin Ning to be back so soon and his heart raced. Then before Su Yu could say anything, he snatched the phone from him. Little Bean, your auntie is back? Why should I tell you? Are you close to her? Little Bean asked on purpose. Little Bean, tell me, I'll treat you to Haagen-Dazs, okay? Tang Chuan coaxed. Little Bean raised her chin. Do I look like someone who can't eat? You are, Little Bean. Little Bean, let's go upstairs. And he brought us gifts. Do you want them? Pudding's voice sounded not far behind them. Yes, yes, yes. Little Bean immediately turned around and went upstairs. Then she said goodbye to Su Yu. Handsome Su, I'll talk to you later. We're going to visit our great-grandpa in a couple of days. Remember to pick us up. Okay, no problem. Su Yu smiled and hung up the video call. Tang Chuan, however, was no longer in the mood to drink tea. He stood up with a whoosh. What's wrong? Wei Liao looked at Tang Chuan and smiled. Qin Ning is back? How come I didn't know about such big news? Tang Chuan sounded wronged. Chapter 2231. That's because you're not well informed. Wei Liao purposely provoked him. You knew and so did Lord Su, but you two didn't tell me. Are you still my brother? Tang Chuan was full of resentment. He pointed at Wei Liao and Su Yu and complained. But you didn't ask us. Su Yu shamelessly responded. Damn. Lord Su, you're so mean. I'm not going to talk to you guys anymore. I have to go see her. After speaking, Tang Chuan hurriedly walked out. Su Yu added, Master Tang, don't rush. Pay for us first. Fuck off, I don't have any money, Tang Chuan angrily replied. Tang Chuan went out and got into his red Ferrari. He impulsively drove to South Hill Manor. However, when he arrived, he realized that he had come so recklessly. What identity should he use to see her? If they were friends, they weren't that close. What about lovers? Qin Ning didn't even know how she felt about him. So his dilemma came back. Tang Chuan's car stopped at the door for a long time. He was conflicted for a long time. In the end, he drove away without entering the house. After dinner, Qin Ning played on the treadmill in the gym for a while. She was sweating profusely. After taking a shower, she realized that she had a WeChat message on her phone. She opened it and saw that it was from Tang Chuan. I heard that, you're back? Tang Chuan sent her a text message instead of a voice message. Qin Ning immediately replied. However, in the end she gradually deleted the typed words and only one word was left. Yeah. It's very cold here. You might not be used to the temperature. Remember to wear more clothes, Tang Chuan reminded her. Seeing this, Qin Ning's heart warmed. Thank you. However, her distant thank you made Tang Chuan speechless. So their conversation ended there. When Qin Ning realized this, she felt quite regretful. She didn't know why she was so pretentious. Would it kill you to say a few more words? Qin Ning muttered to herself. Auntie, who are you talking to? Pudding opened the door and entered. No. I didn't. Qin Ning immediately felt guilty. Annie, you seem to be unsettled after coming back this time. Did something happen? Pudding noticed that Qin Ning was always absent-minded during dinner. You're overthinking it, Pudding. I didn't. Don't brush me off. I'm not a kid. Pudding said confidently. Qin Ning, if I'm not mistaken, she's probably worried about Uncle Tang. Pudding guessed. How did you know? Qin Ning immediately felt guilty when her secret was exposed. Previously he followed you to America and stayed there for so long. Then he suddenly came back. Every time you video called us, you didn't seem to be in a good mood. I guess that something might have happened between you two. There's no unhappiness. Actually, did Tang Chuan bully you? If that's the case, tell me. I'll avenge you. Pudding asked. Qin Ning hugged Pudding lovingly and kissed her on the cheek. She smiled and said, No, he didn't bully me. It's my own problem. I can't see my own heart clearly. Maybe I hurt him unintentionally. That's all. Men are meant to hurt. It's not that easy to get a girl. Don't blame yourself, Auntie. Pudding's aura was much stronger. Her words were also very domineering. Qin Ning laughed out loud. Hey Pudding. I'll remember what you said. So, Auntie, you've actually fallen for Uncle Tang, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have suddenly decided to come back to China. After all, you weren't used to the atmosphere back home. Pudding probed. Although Pudding was a kid, she spoke like an adult, so Qin Ning's heart sank. Chapter 2232. Pudding, don't deny it, Auntie. To be honest, I'm not an outsider. Pudding was forcing her auntie into a corner. Pudding, to be honest, I don't know what I'm thinking. Pudding, you know that I don't have any experience in love, so I don't know what it's like to like someone. Maybe I was interested in Suyu before, but I don't know if it's because you've been telling me how great Suyu is. The truth is he's a great guy. But he's not interested in me. When it comes to love, I'm not so shameless as to fall in love with someone I don't like. Later I realized that Tang Chuan did all the shameless things that I didn't want to do. He insisted on going back to the States with me for so long. I don't even know if I got used to him or if I fell in love with him, so I'm very conflicted. So you came back this time to confirm it, right? To confirm your feelings? I don't know. Maybe I just want to see him. Qin Ning's mind was in a mess. And you're in trouble. You're touched by Tang Chuan. You've fallen in love with him. Pudding saw how conflicted her auntie was. Really? Qin Ning didn't seem to know. How about this? I'll confirm it for you later. Don't think too much about it. You'll help me? It's really not necessary, Pudding. Actually, Auntie, I know what's important. Don't worry. Pudding patted her auntie's shoulder. Qin Ning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Qin Chu's parents weren't in good health, especially his father. After his surgery, his immune system was very low. Although it was Chinese New Year, the temperature in the north was the lowest in history. Qin Chu ordered the bodyguards to drive his parents, the twins and Qin Ning to Yunding Mountain. He even planned to spend Chinese New Year there. Therefore, before Pudding could confirm it for her auntie, they had already left the downtown area of Sea City. Yang Merong and Jixing followed them. Only Qin Ning and Huamian were left at South Hill Manor. Qin Chu was still busy with work. After Huamian prepared the New Year goods, he planned to give all the servants at home a holiday. Even Uncle Li would return to his hometown. Huamian was sitting in the living room. Several servants were lined up in a row. She put the red packet she had prepared on the coffee table. These are red packets for everyone. Your names are on them, and the amount is the same. As for Uncle Li, because he's old and has to worry about us every day, he'll get a little more than you guys. A young lady, you don't have to. You've been so nice to us. You even give us bonuses during the holidays. Uncle Lee looked at Huamin with gratitude. After I gave birth to the baby, I had a lot of responsibilities. Everyone has been working hard. It's been a year. Let's go home and have a good new year. Don't stand on ceremony with me. Come and get it yourselves. There's also your tickets and plane tickets inside. Huamin was very thoughtful and treated the servants well. Everyone was touched and went to take their red packets, feeling very satisfied. Just like that, 2 days before the new year, the servants left one after another. Huamin took on the responsibility of cooking for himself and Qin Chu. However, since he didn't cook, he thought it was very interesting. The ingredients he bought from the supermarket were all put to good use. Qin Chu didn't come home until 7 p.m. that night. His car was parked outside the door. Huamin only made 4 home-cooked dishes because he was afraid that the two of them wouldn't be able to finish it. To his surprise, Qin Chu walked in with Rick behind him. Huamin was surprised by Rick's low-key entrance. Chapter 2233. Huamin thought that since Rick hadn't heard from him in the past few days, he had already returned to China. Maybe, why didn't you tell me that Rick was here? Honey, I didn't prepare anything. Huamin thought it was too sudden. Just eat whatever you have at home. Rick's in a bit of a rush. He'll leave in 2 hours on a helicopter. 2 hours? Why the rush? Huamin was surprised. Rick nodded. He took off his black coat and sat at the dining table quietly. The corners of Rick's mouth curled up as he looked at the 4 meat and vegetable dishes. Huamin, did you make all of this? He looked at Huamin and smiled. Yeah, you don't believe me? Huamin joked. Oh, I believe you. Qin Chu told me that you're a good cook. It looks like I'm in luck today. Rick was very casual when he came to their house. He didn't feel awkward at all. Huamin, on the other hand, was surprised by Rick's sudden arrival. It's too bad that the twins aren't home. Yeah, so you didn't have to give them a New Year's gift. Qin Chu joked. You make it sound like I'm short of money. Huamin looked at Rick and thought, really, you guys sit down first. I'll go get some soup. Huamin rushed into the kitchen. Hey Huamin. You don't have to do anything. I'm not in a hurry. It'll be quick. Wait for me. Huamin rushed into the kitchen. Huamin didn't want to add soup. He wanted to tell Cici something. Huamin picked up her phone and was about to dial when a pair of hands stopped her from behind. She jumped in fright and turned her head. You scared me. Huamin sighed in relief when she saw Qin Chu. She thought that Rick found out. You want to call Cici? Qin Chu asked with a complicated expression. And didn't you promise me that day? This is the last time. I'll help them. When we first arrived, Rick begged us not to create an opportunity for them to meet. I don't want to break my promise to my friend. Why would he say that? Huamin was stunned. I don't know. Anyway, I think Rick has his difficulties. If he doesn't want to see us, then forget it. Although I promised you if Rick finds out that we did this, he might not be happy. After all, fate can't be forced. Qin Chu tried to persuade Huamin. But Cici. Huamin still felt sorry for the girl. She couldn't let go of him and wouldn't even give him a chance to see Rick one last time. Honey, everyone has their own destiny. Some people are deeply in love, but fate doesn't bring them together. Let's not make things difficult for Rick. Even if they meet, it might not change anything. Maybe Cici will be even sadder. Why don't we just forget about each other? What do you think? Qin Chu knew that Huamin was an understanding person. Some people just needed to be clear and didn't need to be so deep. Obviously, Huamin understood. She hesitated for a while, then nodded and put down the phone. I understand, honey. I'll make some soup. Let's eat. Okay. Qin Chu nodded. Huamin was very fast. He made seaweed and egg soup. Because it was the spring festival holiday, all the maids had left the house. Huamin did everything himself. The 3 of them sat across from each other, enjoying the long-lost peace. During dinner, Huamin chatted with them and asked, Rick, you rarely eat Chinese food over there, right? Chapter 2234. It's okay, they have it in Chinatown and I eat it sometimes. But it's not as authentic as here. How's my wife's cooking? Mr. Qin asked proudly. She's not bad. Rick nodded. Are you going back to the States today? Huamin asked casually. No, I'll take a helicopter to H City and then take a private plane to Thailand. Why don't you leave from here? It takes longer to fly from H City to Thailand than C City, Huamin asked curiously. I'm taking care of some things over there, Rick said casually. It was obvious that he didn't like talking about himself. Huamin had a rough idea of the Rick family's business scope. Although Chin Chu didn't explain it in detail, she was smart enough not to miss it. Just then Chin Chu's phone rang. It was a video call. Daddy, what are you doing? Pudding asked. Eating. Did you and Mommy just eat? What are you eating? Your mommy made it herself. Chin Chu smiled and looked at his daughter gently. Oh, Daddy, you're so lucky. As soon as we left, Mommy personally started cooking and serving you. Pudding, are you and your sister okay over there? Are you cold? Huamin leaned her head against Chin Chu. No, the hotel is very comfortable. How about Grandpa and Grandma? How are they? Huamin asked. They're all good. Auntie loves that outdoor hot spring. It's so beautiful. Pudding mumbled. I'm glad you like it. Then you guys stay here for now. Your daddy and I will drive over tomorrow night. Be good. We will. Don't worry, Mommy. Pudding speaks very clearly and logically, Rick commented slowly from the side. Pudding, who was about to hang up the phone, overheard Huamion's words. Who's talking? She didn't hear her dad's voice. Uncle Rick is at our house, Chin Chu said calmly. What? Why didn't you tell me that Uncle Rick was here? Pudding raised her voice. Little Bean immediately ran over. Daddy, I want to see Uncle Rick. Can you give me a shot? Chin Chu had no choice but to aim the camera at Rick. The twins jostled to greet Rick and it was a mess. Hello, Uncle Rick. Uncle Rick, you're becoming more and more handsome. Thank you, Little Bean, Rick smiled. How do you know I'm Little Bean? Little Bean was very surprised. She looked exactly the same as her sister, wore exactly the same clothes, and even had similar voices. How could she recognize her at a glance? Because your face is rounder than Pudding's. Little Bean, Pudding, Uncle Rick, you're so wise. Uncle Rick, why didn't you tell us you were coming? We could have waited for you at home, Little Bean said. I came here because something came up. I'm in a rush. Next time I'll definitely come and visit you guys. Alright, it's a deal. The twins only video chatted with Chin Chu and Huamin for 3 minutes, but they chatted with Rick for 5 or 6 minutes. Mr. Chin almost got jealous again. After hanging up, Pudding fell into deep thought, as if she was thinking about something very important. Sis, what are you thinking about? Little Bean asked curiously as she followed behind Pudding with an orange in her hand. I'm thinking about Uncle Rick. What's up with Uncle Rick? Little Bean was confused. Chapter 2235. You wouldn't understand even if I told you. Forget it. Pudding didn't say anything else and continued to play games on her tablet in the hotel suite. Over at South Hill Manor, the meal was almost over. Rick looked at the time. It was just right. He got up and said goodbye. It's about time. I'm leaving now. Okay. Next time you come here, stay longer. Call me if you need anything. Chin Chu was Rick's best friend. He remembered that Rick's family had helped him a lot in the past. I'll call you. Rick nodded and said goodbye, then walked out. Chin Chu and Huamin walked him out. Just then a car engine roared. A white Audi A4 stopped in front of South Hill Manor. When Cece got out of the car, all 3 of them were shocked. Especially Rick, who didn't expect to see Cece here. Chin Chu looked sideways at Huamin. Before he could say anything, Huamin immediately explained, It wasn't me. I didn't tell Cece. Rick and Chin Chu both knew that Huamin never lied. If it wasn't Huamin, then there was a problem. Who on earth had told Cece? She couldn't have known that Rick was having dinner here. Also, Cece was wearing light pink pajamas with a Hello KT logo on them. She looked very cute. It seemed like she came out in a hurry and didn't have time to change. In fact, she was in a hurry, so she took her sister's car keys and went downstairs. She didn't even have time to think about the scary fact that she was still wearing pajamas. You're really here? It seems like it's true. Cece walked over and said as soon as she saw Rick. How did you? Huamin was very curious. Only she and Chin Chu knew that Rick was having dinner at their house. How did Cece? Did her husband leak the secret out? That shouldn't be the case. Judging from the way Chin Chu looked at him just now, it was clear that he didn't know either. Pudding told me. Cece glanced at Huamin and answered. Pudding. Huamin was completely speechless. Chin Chu was also very surprised. Huamin didn't know when Pudding and Cici called. Moreover, after the video call just now, she even leaked information. Oh my god, when did little Pudding become a spy? Rick didn't care who leaked the secret, but he was surprised to see Cici under such circumstances. But at the same time, his heart was filled with pleasant surprise. Cici? Long time no see. Rick's Chinese was very fluent. His eyes were still so deep and serene. When he looked at you, you would have a feeling that no matter how angry you were, you couldn't bear to let it out. It's been a long time indeed. If I remember correctly, we've been apart for 3 years, 2 months, 25 days, 6 hours and 43 minutes. Cici finished her sentence. The three of them all fell silent. Chin Chu and Huamian were also deeply shocked by Cici's memory. Even Huamin became nervous when she saw this scene. She reached out to Chin Chu's hand and Chin Chu held her hand with his warm palm. The two of them stood behind Rick and quietly watched Cici, who was covered in wind and rain, rush over. At this moment she was so affectionate. Cici, how have you been these past few years? Rick asked softly. What do you think? Tears welled up in Cici's eyes as if she would burst into tears at any moment. Chapter 2236. Rick was speechless at Cici's words. She sounded like she was complaining, but Cici looked very pitiful. The four of them stood in front of Huamin's house in the dead of winter, looking silly and weird. Cici was wearing pajamas, so Huamin was worried that she would catch a cold. Cici, let me get you a jacket, Huamin said. Cici shook her head and said, no, Sister Mion, I'm not cold. Also, can you and President Qin do me a favor? Cici sounded very sad. Huamin and Chin Chu looked at each other and nodded. Go ahead, Cici. Can we have a few words in private? Hearing Cici's request, Chin Chu and Huamin immediately felt that they were unnecessary. Then Chin Chu put his arm around Huamin's shoulder and walked back. It's cold outside, Rick. Why don't you bring Cici in for a chat? Looking at the freezing weather outside, Huamin couldn't bear to see the two of them standing outside like idiots. No, I think he really doesn't want to see me. I won't take up too much of his time. Let's just talk, Cici said firmly. Rick didn't say anything. He just took off his jacket and put it on Cici. He put it on Cici. Cici looked at this man. He was still the same as before. Even the way he treated her was different from others. She was so angry that she took off the jacket and threw it on the ground. I don't need your fake kindness. Cici looked at Rick and said. I'm not being fake. I really don't want you to get cold, Rick explained calmly. Then I'll freeze to death, Cici said angrily. Huamin and Chin Chu had already entered the house and were standing there. The atmosphere was very awkward. Rick didn't say anything. He lowered his head and bent down to pick up the black jacket that Cici threw on the ground. Then they put it on for Cici. I told you I don't need your pity, I don't need your fake kindness. Cici took off her jacket and threw it on the ground mercilessly. He didn't give Rick any face at all and even made him lose face. The bodyguards in the distance were furious. It was as if he wanted to teach this arrogant woman a lesson. However, Rick raised his hand and stopped them. Get lost. No one is allowed to come over. He spoke in perfect English. When the bodyguards heard this, they stopped in their tracks and didn't dare to move. Cici, between us. Rick seemed to want to say something. But Cici didn't give him a chance because as soon as he opened his mouth, she threw herself into Rick's arms. She wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. The long-lost fragrance slowly penetrated his nose, and Rick's eyes actually moistened in an instant. This girl always gave him too many mysterious feelings. Perhaps only when he was with her did he feel that he had a heart. He was not a homicidal maniac, nor was he some underworld godfather. Cici. He called her name gently. Don't say it. Let me say it, okay? Cici's voice was trembling. They say it. Rick really wanted to hug the woman in front of him. But his rationality told him not to do so. He had to endure it because he and Cici were already in two different worlds. It was impossible. So even though he clenched his fists tightly, he still didn't move. Rick, you're so cruel. You actually ignored me for 3 years. I thought you wouldn't forget me, but who knew that the person you couldn't forget was me? You're even more cruel than me. You didn't even see me when you came back. If Pudding didn't tell me, maybe I wouldn't have been able to see you. I just want to ask you, what did I do wrong? Why are you so cruel to me? Cece lay in Rick's arms crying as she asked. Her tear-stained face was really heartbreaking. Chapter 2237. Cece, I'm sorry. Rick had no choice but to apologize to Cece at this moment. He was really sorry. I don't want to hear you say sorry. Cece sobbed as she leaned against his chest. Looking at the crying Cece, Rick finally couldn't help but raise his hands, which he didn't know where to put, and then hugged her. At that moment he felt as if the whole world had fallen silent. It was -20 degrees Celsius. They stood there and hugged each other silently. Inside the room, Huamin was worried. Honey, do you think they're going to be the same as before? Cece isn't worried that they won't reveal their feelings. Rick's personality can be so boring sometimes, Huamin said worriedly. Let's just leave it to fate. Everyone has the right to choose their own path. I understand Rick's situation, Chin Chu said quietly. Then who's going to understand Cece? It's not easy for a girl. She's going to ruin her life when she sees Rick. Huamin looked at the problem from a girl's point of view. He also saw Cece as the weak one. Honey, let's not talk about this. We should ask Pudding what she wants. Chin Chu brought up the key issue. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. I'll call her now. Huamin picked up his phone and video called Pudding. Oh, Mommy. Pudding seemed to be in a good mood. Pudding, did you call Auntie Cece? Huamin asked. Yes, you're right, Pudding admitted confidently. Why did you do that? Do you know how much trouble you've caused Uncle Rick? Huamin said seriously. Mommy, stop pretending. Didn't you always want them to get back together? Pudding asked calmly. Who said that? Huamin felt guilty. Do you even need to say it? Your expression is written all over your face. How do you know Auntie Cece's phone number? Huamin was curious. The last time she came to visit us, I added her on WeChat. But to be honest, Auntie Cece is really innocent. Is she suitable for Uncle Rick, who's so cunning? What do you think? Pudding, now's not the time to discuss whether it's suitable or not. The question is, if you spill the beans, will it have a big impact on this matter? Chin Chu couldn't help but speak up when he saw that his wife couldn't convince his daughter after talking for so long and was almost confused by her. Daddy, calm down. Feelings can't be forced. If they are fated, they will be together no matter what, even if they are at the ends of the world. But if they are not fated, it will be useless even if I try to matchmake them 100 times. You should know this. Well, that's true. As expected, Chin Chu was finally convinced by his daughter's words. If that's the case, then let's continue to swim. You two continue to observe and let me know if you find anything. Then Pudding hung up the phone, leaving her parents dumbfounded. Honey, that phone call was meaningless. Huamin finally realized that he wanted to ask his daughter why she spilled the beans. In the end, his daughter convinced him with the theory of fate. So, Pudding has successfully brainwashed us? Chin Chu sighed. Oh my God, this child is really... Huamin's heart couldn't be described with the word, collapse. Having 2 children in the family was really a mixture of sadness and joy. Chin Chu and Huamin were discussing their daughter in the room. The two of them were still in a deadlock. Godfather, we should go. The helicopter is here, one of his men urged. Chapter 2238. When Cece heard that Rick was going to leave, she grabbed his clothes tightly and refused to let go. Cece. Rick wanted to say something but stopped. Can I not go? She didn't know that she was so spineless. She wanted to hit him, scold him and blame him, but from the moment she saw him she forgot everything and only hugged him affectionately. No matter how hard Rick's heart was when he saw Cece like this, his heart would still soften. When she said, "Can I not go?" he was really shaken. Godfather, we don't have much time. The subordinate urged for the second time. Rick was furious. He took out his gun and pointed it at the man. Shut up, he said. The subordinates and bodyguards were so scared that they didn't dare to move. Cece reached out and grabbed Rick's hand that was holding the gun, then slowly slid it to her chest. Rick, I'm in so much pain. Just kill me. Shoot me and everything will be over. I've been so tired for the past 3 years. I'm not interested in anything. I know it's useless to say this, but if I lose you, I'm really like a zombie. There's no joy in living. Maybe I'm too much of a failure as a person and I can't make you stay with me. So instead of this, I'd rather die in your hands. I know I can't keep you around forever, so please, for the sake of us being together, grant me my wish. Cece's words were so painful that Rick's heart was broken. Cece, don't be like this. Rick, who was a man of few words, didn't know what to say at this moment. He didn't dare to see Cece, not because he was afraid that she would pester him and not because he didn't want to see her. It was because he liked her too much that he avoided her. He was afraid that he would lose control and make a decision that he would regret. With Rick's current identity as the godfather of the underworld, he no longer gave Cece happiness and stability. He gave her the chance to die at any time, so he couldn't. But now Cece was standing in front of him, forcing him to die. His heart was bleeding. That feeling was so painful that he wanted to die. When Huimin saw the scene, he was so scared that his face turned pale. He even wanted to come out. However, she was stopped by Chinchu. Honey, it's better for them to solve their own problems. We can't help them. Chinchu understood Rick's inner struggle, so he empathized with his feelings at this moment. Hubby, Huimin said softly. If you were Rick and I was Cece, would you do the same to me? Huimin suddenly became very pessimistic and sad and made a hypothetical. Chinchu hugged her waist tightly from behind, then leaned over and whispered in her ear, to me you are my whole world, so. But no matter what, I will not leave you. Weren't you? Before Huimin could finish his sentence, Chinchu interrupted him. Every time I left you before, it was so that we could be together in the future. But Rick didn't do that. He wanted to leave forever for Cece's safety. Then Cece is so pitiful. After hearing what Chinchu said, Huimin sighed. No, I think Rick is the more pitiful one. He can't say anything and he keeps everything in his heart. Chinchu disagreed with Huimin on this matter. As the two of them chatted, a gunshot broke the silence of the night. Huimin and Chinchu immediately pushed open the door and ran out. They saw Cece pull the trigger while holding Rick's hand. Rick's black gun opened a bright red flower on Cece's chest. Cece. At this moment, Rick's consciousness finally collapsed. Cece's body went limp and she slowly fell into Rick's arms. Chapter 2239. Cece. Rick couldn't think straight anymore. He hugged Cece tightly and called her name. He thought Cece would only scare him to make him stay, but he didn't expect her to pull the trigger without warning. Everything happened so suddenly that he didn't have time to react. All he could think about was Cece. Cece was lying in his arms on the verge of death. Then you won't leave me. She forced herself to say it. Her body and mind were very weak and she even smiled. Rick felt a tearing pain in his heart. The pain came one after another and he couldn't stop. He hugged Cece and his tears finally came out like a broken dam. Cece, don't sleep. Wake up. Huimin rushed back. Chinchu, help me save Cece. I can't let her die. Rick looked at Chinchu like a helpless child. Huimin didn't understand Rick's coldness. Was she angry? She looked at Rick and shouted, save what? Let's just kill her. I don't want to be tortured by you after she's saved. Honey, calm down. Chinchu placed his hand on her shoulder. How can I calm down? Look at Cece now. Huimin was also very agitated. Let's save her first. We can talk about the rest later. Chinchu left. He carried Cece in his arms and put her in the car. Luckily, South Hill Manor was very close to South Side. They took a short time to send Cece to the hospital. Chinchu changed into his doctor's clothes and followed them into the operating room. Huimin was emotionally unstable, so Chinchu left him outside. Before Chinchu went in, Rick held his hand and said, Brother, I'll leave her to you. Chinchu understood what he meant. Rick trusted him. He nodded. Don't worry. I'll save her. After Chinchu entered the operating room, Huimin and Rick waited outside. Huimin didn't say a word to him. Perhaps she thought that Rick was responsible for everything that had happened to Cece and that he was the culprit. She was a beautiful girl with a harmonious family and a few good friends. He came from a good family and studied abroad. She was sweet and cute. She was such a winner in life, but because she fell in love with someone like Rick who had a special identity and a cold personality, she became what she was today. Huimin felt that Cece was not worth it. Dr. Chin, the patient's heart rate is very unstable. It's about to stop. The nurse said anxiously. He gave Chinchu a big problem right from the start. Because Cece wanted to die, the part of her body that was shot happened to be her heart, which was the most important part. Electric shock. Chin Chu made a prompt decision without any hesitation. The operation lasted for more than 4 hours. Rick's men did not dare to urge their godfather to leave. From evening to the wee hours of the morning, the 4 of them spent their time in the hospital. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Chin Chu came out of the operating room tiredly and took off his mask. Huamin and Rick rushed to him immediately. "Honey, how is Cece?" Huamin asked first. "The bullet has been removed. She needs to be under observation for 48 hours. Chin Chu answered. Huamin and Rick were relieved to hear Chin Chu's words. "Chin, I want to see her," Rick said in a low voice. "Not now. She's not out of danger yet. She needs to be observed in a sterile environment. You can see her through the glass door," Chin Chu suggested. Huamin looked at Rick angrily. "I'm telling you, her life could be in danger at any time. If Cece dies, you'll feel guilty for the rest of your life. Do you understand?" Chapter 2240. I know. Rick didn't avoid Huamin's accusation. "Honey, I'm so hungry." Chin Chu changed the topic so that his wife wouldn't be a burden to Rick. Huamin held onto Chin Chu's hand, heartbroken. "Let's go home. I'll cook you some noodles." Chin Chu nodded and turned to Rick. "Don't worry, she'll be fine." Rick nodded, knowing that he didn't need to say anything. On the way home, Huamin was still angrily criticizing Rick for his coldness towards Cece. Chin Chu didn't say anything. He waited for Huamin to finish before saying, "Honey, Rick isn't as heartless as you think. It's just his personality. He was born into a family like that, so his childhood was destined to be less happy than others. He was under a lot of pressure and didn't know how to fall in love or how to protect someone. His family taught him how to kill. We're not Rick, we're not in his shoes, so we can't treat him the same way." So you're speaking up for your brother?" Huamin pouted. "Okay, let's not fight over this. Someone just said he was going to cook me some noodles." "No, go eat instant noodles." Huamin pretended to be angry. "Fine." Even though her husband just had a major surgery and is exhausted, his wife doesn't care about him. She wants him to eat instant noodles, so let him eat them. After all, instant noodles are junk food. If he eats too much, his stomach will be damaged. When that happens, he'll have to rely on his wife to take care of him. Mr. Chin complained on purpose. Huamin's heart softened. "Okay, stop nagging. I'm going to cook some noodles. Wait here and you should go take a shower. You smell like formalin." "Isn't this your favorite smell?" Chin Chu joked. "I love it when I'm at work, but not when I'm home. My house must always be filled with the smell of rice." After that, Huamin went straight into the kitchen to cook noodles for her husband. Outside Southside, Rick was now outside the glass door looking at Cece. He knew that Chin Chu and Huamin were right. Cece was still in danger and could leave him at any time. "Cece, you have to wake up. I don't want to lose you." Thinking about what Cece had said before she fainted, Rick felt as if someone had ruthlessly rubbed his heart. Yunding Mountain Pudding and Little Bean were swimming with their grandparents. Qin Ning, on the other hand, liked outdoor hot springs. He was soaking in the hot spring water alone in the ginseng pool. Snowflakes were still floating in the sky, landing on her black hair and forming ice droplets. She was extremely beautiful. At this moment her phone rang. It was a WeChat message. She immediately picked up her phone from the rock beside her. In the end, he was a little disappointed. It turned out to be his overseas father. Nowadays he was really keeping up with the times. His father was also using WeChat and would send him red packets from time to time. "Where are Pudding and Little Bean?" "I want to see them," Qin Ning's father said in a voice message. "They're not with me. They're swimming indoors with Uncle. You can video call Uncle." "Okay. You didn't see that brat from the Tang family when you went back, right?" Qin Ning's father had been angry ever since Tang Chuan ran away last time. He felt that this brat didn't love his daughter and didn't want to be a live-in son-in-law, so he ran away in the middle of the night. In fact, he didn't know that Tang Chuan didn't leave because of this. "Dad, can you stop asking about me?" Qin Ning was very annoyed. She put down her phone and muttered to herself, "That brat from the Tang family? Who wants to see him?" However, at this moment she heard a voice behind her. "You're not a good baby when you talk bad about others." Qin Ning was startled. She turned around and was dumbfounded. Why are you here? Chapter 2241. Why can't I be here? I'm here to soak in the hot spring. You're doing business here, so why can't I come? Tang Chuan laughed. Ever since he knew that Qin Ning was back, Tang Chuan had been in a good mood. Came by yourself? Qin Ning looked around and didn't see Tang Chuan with any female companions. She was secretly happy. You don't have to. I really came by myself. Tang Chuan laughed. Perhaps Qin Ning felt that she was being too obvious, so she immediately explained, I mean, you didn't come with Su Yu and the others? No, it's almost Chinese New Year. Lord Su is very busy these days. He has to go back to his hometown with the Su family to worship their ancestors. Oh, what about you? You don't have to worship your ancestors? Qin Ning looked at Tang Chuan and asked. Me, of course I do. I went there early and ran back. I didn't go with my dad and the others. I burned some paper for my great-grandfather alone. I hope that he will bless me and help me marry a good wife this year. After hearing this, Qin Ning's cheeks flushed slightly. Then Tang Chuan continued, It doesn't matter if I'm a live-in son-in-law or not. The most important thing is that you have me in your heart. I don't want to get married not because of love. After all, it's such a precious thing. It might only happen once in a lifetime. You're so talkative. Qin Ning turned her head away, too embarrassed to look at Tang Chuan. She looked away. When did you come back? You didn't even tell me? I could have held a welcoming party for you. Tang Chuan came up and looked at Qin Ning in a colorful bikini swimsuit. His blood was about to boil. Because Chinese New Year was approaching, there weren't many people in the hot spring hotel. Especially the outdoor hot spring, the temperature was too low. Qin Ning was the only one there. So when Tang Chuan came, he found that this was a good place to talk. Why should I tell you? You didn't tell me when you left. Qin Ning was still angry when she thought about how Tang Chuan left her house in the middle of the night without saying goodbye last time. I didn't. I left my last words. No, I left a note. Don't lie. What note? You didn't see it? Qin Ning played dumb. Oh, little girl, you're really shameless. Tang Chuan laughed. Anyway, I didn't see any note. I knew someone had been living and eating at my place for more than 20 days, but in the end he just left. How disloyal. The more Qin Ning spoke, the prouder she became. That sounds like it. Why don't I compensate you? Tang Chuan smirked. How? Qin Ning was surprised. I've been playing around since I was young, so I don't know much. How about this? I won't make things difficult for myself, and you don't make things difficult for me either. I only know a very professional skill, and I'll show it to you. What skill? Hearing Tang Chuan's serious tone, Qin Ning really fell for it. Tang Chuan moved his mouth closer to Qin Ning's ear and whispered, Warm the bed, Tang Chuan, you pervert. Qin Ning was furious and immediately slapped Tang Chuan on the shoulder. Tang Chuan laughed. Pervert? That's a good word to use. I think I can take it, hee hee. What kind of person is this? Instead of being ashamed, you're proud. You're the best in the world. Qin Ning was so amused by Tang Chuan that she didn't know what to say. However, it had to be said that this opening wasn't awkward at all. It was very lively. Tang Chuan was still the playboy from before, and Qin Ning was still the sometimes domineering and sometimes cute little girl. Hey Ning Ning, let's stop messing around. If I tease you again, you'll really get angry. Let's be honest, I miss you a lot. Tang Chuan looked at Qin Ning and said gently. Qin Ning felt that somewhere deep in her heart was beginning to throb. Chapter 2242. Tang Chuan's straightforward words made Qin Ning blush. So, Ning Ning, did you miss me? Tang Chuan asked. I didn't miss you. Qin Ning raised her voice guiltily. You didn't miss me? Fine, it seems like I was overthinking. When I heard that you came back, I was very excited. I even thought that you were brought back for me. But I know that's not the case. You just happened to come back for the spring festival. It's okay, I'm happy to see you. You're still so beautiful, I'm happy for you. Tang Chuan looked at Qin Ning and said word by word. Tang Chuan. Qin Ning actually had a lot of things to say to him, but when the words reached her mouth, they became hesitant. It seemed that Qin Ning lacked experience. She didn't understand the inexplicable courage needed to be in love. Seeing her hesitate again, Tang Chuan was slightly disappointed. It's good to see you. It's getting late, I'm going to go now. Have fun. Tang Chuan turned around and walked out of the hot spring. Qin Ning really wanted him to stay, but she didn't know what to say. She was so anxious that her heart was spinning. Just as she was hesitating, she suddenly felt her body warm up. Someone hugged her tightly. Then her slightly cold lips were gently bitten by someone. Tang Chuan really wanted to leave because he realized that Qin Ning's attitude was still the same as before. He didn't know what was going on and he hated it. He wanted to know what she was thinking. He wanted to know if he meant anything to her. Then he gathered his courage, turned around the moment he stepped out of the hot spring, and quickly swam to Qin Ning's side. Then before she could react, he opened his arms and hugged her. Then he kissed her again. Perhaps because of her previous experience, Qin Ning didn't break down as badly this time. At first, when she came to her senses, she subconsciously wanted to push him away. However, after 2 tries, she realized that she couldn't move him at all. Qin Ning decided to just go with the flow and stopped struggling. Tang Chuan's kiss gradually made her feel different. It was a little ticklish, as if a small fish was swimming in her heart. It was especially comfortable and warm. Gradually, not only did she stop resisting, but she even responded awkwardly. Feeling that Qin Ning was trying her best to respond to him, Tang Chuan was so excited that he almost died. He hugged Qin Ning tightly and kissed her even more passionately. The two of them kissed passionately. On the other side, the twins were extremely bored after swimming and ran over to play with their little aunt. It was quite shocking to see such a scene. Little Bean, sis, what did I see? Was it an illusion? Pudding, absolutely not, because I saw it too. Little Bean, so, those people are Uncle Tang and Auntie Qin, right? Pudding, yes, they are kissing. Looks like. Little Bean, it's so sudden. I'm not mentally prepared at all. What are we going to do now? Should we rush up and separate them? Pudding, we better not. Uncle Tang will hate us to death. Little Bean, then are we just going to watch Auntie Qin suffer? Pudding, I think Auntie Qin is enjoying it. Little Bean, sis, are you sure your analysis is correct? Pudding, why don't you try to separate them? Little Bean, nah, it's my first time seeing such an intimate scene up close. Oh right, I need to record it with my phone. Pudding, why? Little Bean, with this video I can blackmail Uncle Tang for Haagen-Dazs. If he doesn't agree, I'll send it to second grandpa to see how other people bully his daughter. Then I'll break his legs. Pudding gave her a thumbs up. You're really unscrupulous for food. The two sisters calmly watched the scene unfold. After the kiss, Qin Ning inadvertently glanced over. When she saw the twins, she immediately collapsed. Oh my god, that's Pudding and Little Bean? Qin Ning immediately covered her face with both hands, feeling extremely embarrassed. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.